Now more than ever, innovative technologies are fueling change and sparking new ways of thinking. Collaboration between corporations and startups is key to staying at the forefront of these trends. However, finding the right startups can be expensive, time-consuming, and ineffective. But Plug and Play is here to help. As a corporate partner, you will gain access to a whole ecosystem of innovation. Discover startups that meet your tech interests. Stay updated on the latest trends and network with industry peers. We will help you during every stage of your innovation journey, no matter where you are and where you want to go. Get in touch today. How do you track your team's innovation efforts? However that is, we've got an easier way. Let us introduce Playbook. Playbook is Plug and Play's innovation software. It is an exclusive tool only available for our ecosystem's corporate partners. With it, you and your team will be able to browse your curated startups database, create, discover, and rate lists of startups, track your engagement, pilots, and investments, analyze data from the tech ecosystem, organize private sessions with select startups, and so much more. Hundreds of corporations count on Playbook to empower their innovation journey. Get in touch to start using Playbook today.
Hello, I'm Will Decker, Director of the Media and Advertising Program. You're here at Day 3 of Plug and Play's Spring Summit, and this is the Media and Advertising Batch 3 Expo. We could not be more excited. We're still just getting started in this new program along with some of our founding partners. If you're joining us in the audience today and it's your very first Plug and Play event, it's great to know that Plug and Play has been very active and very lucky within the innovation space, connecting some of the greatest startups with the leaders within the industries they work in. What we do typically is we have a lot of activity on venture capital. We're the most active venture capitalist in Silicon Valley for early stage investments. And Plug and Play also has over 500 corporate partners around the world in various industries that come to work with us to solve some of their most difficult problems and grab hold of the most incredible opportunities, engaging with the external community and the world of startups. We also have different industries with open programs where leaders in the industry define themes, and Plug and Play runs programs to bring in the most incredible entrepreneurs all over the world to solve those problems. That's what we're doing today at Media and Advertising. We have a group of incredible founding partners that have worked with us and new ones that are joining to define themes and then get the technology that's transforming the industry tested into pilots, into proof of concepts, and then scaled throughout. So what we're doing today is we're focusing on different themes. We have themes around content generation and consumption. That's always evolving and changing, how things are produced, and then the way people consume that content over the top, whether it's sports, entertainment, others, or gaming. We also have different consumer engagement methods and techniques like mixed reality. And of course, always some artificial intelligence and machine learning optimization around marketing and advertising spend, and always new ideas. So very excited to be here today. Thank you to all the team and partners. It's my pleasure to introduce the co-founder of the program, Momenti. Murad, why don't you join me here on the virtual stage and take it away?
Thank you, Will. It's a pleasure to be here with you and everyone tuning from around the world. A big thank you to our founding partners, Globo, AMC Networks, Intango, and the rest who made this platform possible today. It's an exciting time to announce our partnership with Mars and their agency, Mediacom, and joining this platform recently. And we'll be looking forward to working closer with Mediacom this year across their client roster to solve existing challenges and identify new revenue-generating opportunities. Now, a look back over the last few months and this batch, we did some exciting exclusive events, including our workshop with X, a division of Alphabet, looking at moonshot ideas across different sectors of Plug and Play, and other roundtable discussions where we had many key executives join us from our corporate partners, and bring the community closer through these difficult times and this pandemic. In other news, we're very excited to launch Plug and Play Los Angeles and the entertainment capital of the world in Los Angeles. And we'll be having our first event and roundtable on June 29th from the hours of 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific, virtually followed by an in-person reception at a beautiful rooftop in downtown Los Angeles. So if you're available during that time, feel free to reach out to our team and myself, and we're happy to include you and be a part of that discussion. And lastly, a big thank you to our venture team, Tanya and Gwyneth, for sourcing some incredible companies this batch, and our amazing program manager, Kristen Arbide, who's with us on the line, who has put incredible hours to make this event possible. And a big thank you to our keynote speaker, Maria Carmen Fernandez, who oversees innovation and new business at MediaPro. For those of you who don't know, MediaPro is a key player in the world of media in Spain and Europe, and we're happy to have her with us today, all the way from Spain. And with that, let's have an exciting day and kick things off for another great Media and Advertising Expo.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Will and Mehran. And that rooftop event in LA sounds awesome. So I recommend you all reach out to Mehran if you're interested. So we have an exciting day planned ahead. A lot of amazing startups, a lot of hard work from our team. So now we'll be moving into our keynote speaker, Maria Carmen Fernandez.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Maria Carmen Fernandez, and I'm the Innovation Manager at MediaPro Group. We are a Spanish-based and funded company, and we have presence in more than 36 countries right now. So the group is divided into 4 main areas. We are well known because of our main area, which is sport rights management, and we manage rights from any sport holder all around the world, especially for La Liga. We are well known. The second business area is audiovisual services, and we provide any kind of technical services for any kind of pay TV station or TV producer or whatever, all around the world also. And 3 years ago, we founded the MediaPro Studio, which is the third main area business in the group. And under the umbrella of the MediaPro Studio, we have gathered all the talent and production of the group in terms of content creation. And the fourth area was deployed 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. And its purpose was to manage the innovation in the group, but mixing innovation and business, okay? So right now, I will tell you more right now. And we have an international deployment in terms of MediaPro innovation. And we have 2 main missions. On one side, to provide innovation through the 3 main business areas in the group. But on the other side, we also incubate our own business and new content creation environment. And we then finally maybe integrate them into the main 3 business areas. Okay. Today, I'm going to talk about what we are doing at MediaPro Innovation, what has happened to our strategy and plans during the last, let's say, 14, 15 months, and how we foresee the future. Okay, so let's start. So everything we do it in terms of realizing that the context of the consumption of new audiences was changing. So MediaPro is a B2B big group. We deploy any kind of services or content, as I explained before, to any main stakeholder in the market in terms of content creation and distribution. But we realized that the ecosystem of content was changing. And was changing because what we consume is different, and the way we consume is also different. And we add a second very important issue for us, and it's related to the way we make business. We realized that even though we were very powerful deploying our B2B strategies on all the three main business units, the context of the new entertainment, the context of the new sportainment, the context of the new content in general was B2C. And why is it B2C? Because the value chain of the content creation and distribution has completely changed. So we have based our strategy at the very beginning in two main purposes. First, hyper-segmentation. We realized that every single target was demanding different content. So we had to be very selective in the way we identified those segments, and we had to create customized experiences and contents for those audiences. So we started studying the market trends at that moment, 3 years ago, and we realized that the entertainment was completely changing. It was, they were in the market, they were starting some new incoming actors, and there are some game changers as the gaming into the scene of entertainment. And it was not just about having different content experiences, but also it was very important to address those content experiences in another way. So we realized that the way we deliver content was very important, and we started to prospect also about XR content and interactive content. But content is not just alone in the market. So in the market, when you talk about content, you have to talk also about advertising and business models for sure. So we realized also that the new advertising scene was also changing. We were talking about intermediate, interactive advertising. We were talking about customized advertising, and we were talking about AI and super segmentation and targeted advertising also. Then we realized that we were talking about initial virtual worlds, because once you are in the gaming scene, you are talking also about virtual worlds and virtual lives and avatars and something else we will discover later. And we realized also that everything we do in our normal life was also related to content. So the way smart cities are going to revolutionize our content context is very high also. So we are talking about how tourism or culture or art or just the work in your city, okay, is going to be changing because of the relationship between all those aspects and content. Second, we realized that it was not about detecting new content, following trends, but we had to realize also the impact that technology was going to have into the content ecosystem. So we started to study about VR and XR in general. We started to talk about how AI is deploying in terms of content creation and distribution, and also advertising and all I have mentioned before. We started to realize also about how cloud is going to be deployed into the content ecosystem, into the production systems, into the main audiovisual systems production, into the distribution also. And finally, we decided also to include in our prospection of technologies, blockchain. At that moment, blockchain was also, for us, was also the way to follow the trends of identifying how content was going to be tracked, about the traceability, and about the user identity. Okay, so that was our main purpose on blockchains, no more at that moment. Okay, and on top of that, we started, at least in Europe, we started to co-live with 5G networks. Okay, so what we see in 5G networks is the relationship between smart cities, content delivery, customization. So everything related to the networks, the 5G network deployments, is going to be affecting also our context. So with all this mix of content identification, target identification, technologies impacting us, we created our own ecosystem to be responding to the market. So we based our strategy in two main issues. On one side, the content creation, and on the other side, the creation of platforms, because everything, if you want to address a B2C market, everything is about having your own platforms, having your own data, processing that data, and closing the loop to again customize experience. So we decided that we have to be fast, and we decided that we could not do it alone, or we could do it just organically. So we decided to have a strategy deploying organic innovation, but also venture investment. And we decided that in different steps, we had to join to the group companies that were related to the new scene in terms of content and Gen Z content engagement. And we decided to go into the gaming and esports scene. So we have LVP with us from the last 5 years almost. And we have also vision, because we decided 2 years ago, we decided that we need more skills and more experience and more talent related to the XR services and content creation. Organically, we deployed Media Pro Labs. Media Pro Labs is an initiative to identify new content creators, new formats, and all this lab of creating new content for the new audiences. So we have these three business units, RVP, Vision, and Media Pro Labs, but we have completed this scene with two main platforms. As I said before, it is about a mix of content creation, but also platforms. And we have two platforms, one addressing the gaming targets. It's called Arena GG, and it's deployed in more than 20 languages all around the world. And we have Ubid, which is our B2C pure OTT. We have also linear channels, but our main strategy is being a pure OTT. And it's the OTT for delivering content for Gen Z generations in Spanish-speaking markets. So having said that, our current positioning is about this mix between business units, target acquisition, but also platforms and creation and implementation and distribution. And even though we have some operations in the center of Europe, even in Asia and Middle East, our more powerful position is about the Spanish-speaking languages, obviously by obvious reasons. What we are doing now is in all those units, we are working in, I would say, 4 main areas. First, we have a very important task force identifying new creators, new formats, because we have to still going alive with new content every day. So every day we deliver new content to Arena GG or to Ubid, and we also stream more than 5-6 hours a day in LVP Twitch streams. So we are constantly assuming that we have to be on the top of mind of the users and adapting the speaking language. And I'm not talking about region languages, I'm talking about territory languages. So now we are exploring not just for gaming, but we are also exploring music, or we are exploring urban sports, or we are exploring other territories. So we are constantly identifying which territories should be occupied, and in how we address them, identifying the main and the most important creators and reference for those targets. On the other side, we are also introducing innovation in those platforms we are exploring. And it's not just about delivering advertising or delivering the content we create, it's also about how we engage with the audience, okay? So we are starting to deploy AI algorithms to improve the engagement through the content consumption, but also through the branded content creation we provide them, or even the way we relate to them within our social networks. Okay. Third, Vision is a very top company. We are leaders in the market, and we are continuously improving and developing new products, new technologies, even in the VR or AR scene, but also, and very recently, we have been also introducing a lot of innovation into the scene of mixed reality, as I explain later, okay? And the task force of blockchain continues. I will show you some examples now, okay? That was going on, and suddenly last year we were disrupted by a virus. So what we lived was a real disruption in terms of online business. Our point of view is that what has happened is, it's not what they say a digital transformation. I hate to saying that. It's about business transformation, and it's about creating a new content relationship with your business transformation. What we think is that content is going to be a vehicle to transform most of the businesses that they are transforming themselves right now. Okay, I'm talking about tourism, I'm talking even about health, I'm talking about culture, I'm talking about events in general. So if you want to be online, you have to manage content, you have to distribute content, you have to put content on your marketplaces or in your e-commerces, or you have to just create content to be relevant in this online world, okay? So even though the crisis we lived last year, and it was a very important one for sure, and with all our respect, we found the way to take some profit on this situation and to take advantage of the opportunities and the challenges and the chances that technology provided us. So we created a division for affording the market of events, okay? So we are talking about how the event has to transform and how we provide resources to that industry to be more relevant and more competitive. The image you see behind the events industry transformation title is the Spanish Academy Awards of this year. So we produced this show in a hybrid way, and we were fully successful. What I mean is, it was not just translating the experience of being in the theater, it was about creating the engage with the actors, engage with the audience to transform the event into content and to transform the event into a TV experience. And this is about. Second, we think that we had opportunity, and it's very important for us also, we have seen how all the content that people and industries are creating needed a repository to be distributed all around the world. Okay, so we have created a new division related and dedicated to create and to deploy content platforms. It's about translating the OTT platforms experience into a business environment, providing the new businesses and providing those industries new tools to connect with their fans or with their customers, and at the end of the day, with the audience. And we are translating the experience of being fan engagement or being working on issues like capturing customers into the world of having a TV experience, of having audience. And last but not least, we've seen that advertising has also been very impacted. So the capabilities of companies of investing in marketing in general has been highly reduced. And what companies have done is to allocate important segments of their budgets within what we call branded content. And we are talking again about content, even though we are talking about marketing budgets or marketing campaigns, or in general advertising for sectors and segments which have not been experienced the way content could be very related to them. Okay, so we have worked during last year. We have been answering the market and answering the new challenges of the business transformations with these three main strategies. So creating an events production division, and their vision for creating and deploying content platforms, and creating new content for brands positioning also in the market. And what's next? So what we think we are going to be our next steps. So our vision is that content as we have known it is going to change. We will not be talking about online content. We will not be talking about digital content. We will be talking about new virtual and hybrid experiences. And in terms of business, we will be talking about ecosystems. So the image you've seen in the previous slide was the avatar of Travis Scott in their first concert in Fortnite. And it happens also last year. And we think it's going to be part of the next future. So when we talk about ecosystems, we are talking about this mix between traditional industries like the music, technology for providing live streamings, for example, and new platforms. So everything is going to be about ecosystems. The merge between content industries, the merge between technology, and the mix between different industries that will be relating themselves for a new purpose. So we see that the future is going to be talking about new production facilities, new content, and new distribution technologies. Okay, in terms of production, we are starting to work into new sets of TV, virtualizing the whole experience of producing content, mixing AR and VR into the TV traditional broadcasting, but this is especially focused and will be especially focused for online content distribution. So everything will be about mixing these new technologies with the content production and cloud systems and cloud technologies, and the way that the audiovisual traditional industry is promoting the cloud integration is going to be crucial into this new stage of the art. Related to content, I think we are entering a new era because we are not talking about just about creators or creativity or formats. We are talking also about what we say new tech content or new tech media. So we are talking about how artificial intelligence is going to impact the way we produce content. We are talking about synthetic content. What I mean is avatars, digital twins. So all these new CGI environments, all these new Unreal environments, this is tech media that is going to be part of the media and the content we are going to be creating in the very, very next future. And we are talking about new digital assets like NFTs that we are already deploying in the market. But it's not just about producing the content in a different way, creating new kinds of content. It's also about how we distribute those and we introduce those new content and medias in the market. And it's going to be through new immersive platforms. So it will not be about immersive platforms. It will be about immersive worlds. And it will be about translating those concepts of the gaming industry and the environments, for example, of Epic Games or Riot Games into the world where you enter in a new scene of play and game and avatars. And it will be the next environment where you will be deploying content. You will have your own personality on those platforms. It's not just your nickname. It will be your figure. It will be your custom. It will be your avatar in general. And we will be about merging also the new trends on the blockchain platforms with these and these new virtual worlds. So if I have to summarize everything I've said, is I think the future and the new challenges of the media industry will be these three main concepts. We will be talking about new tech media, where technology plays an important role both on the production facilities, production tools, even the content creation. It will be about ecosystems. It will be about collaborating with other companies, even with other industries. And it will be about new monetization models. So once you are in a virtual world, once you have a blockchain platform below you, you will be starting to manage different assets, not just for content, but also for complementary and for new, in general, combinations of content and assets and the way you manage with them and the way you deal with them. And we will be talking about new monetization models. And it will be a new era. And that's all. I hope you enjoy the session, and nice to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Maria Carmen Fernandez. Those were some great insights. And I think we can all agree, as she said, the 2020 online disruption. Now, the events industry has really transformed. We have everyone here online, virtual round of applause, ready to get into the day. My name is Gwyneth Lewis. I'm on the Ventures team on Media and Ad, and I'm really excited to start the day with everyone. So we have 3 different groups. We have our advertising innovation, film and TV innovation, and then gaming, virtual world, and social innovation. So we have some great startups on deck. And then also, before diving into the startups, I want everyone to get familiar with Attendify. So notice the agenda on your left. You're also able to visit startup booths. It's accessible in the menu, also on the left-hand side, and then use the chat feature to the right of the stream, and you can ask questions to the panelists or just chat around with your peers. So up first, we have DataSine. So did you know that the average person sees up to 10,000 advertisements in a day? Quite a bit. So how do you make your advertisement stand out? So you can use AI to produce top performing ads with DataSine.
Hi, I'm Stefan Britton. I'm the Commercial Director at DataSine, and we specialize in helping companies make significantly more money from their Facebook and Google ads while spending less budget. And we do this because the marketing industry is wasting billions of dollars every year on ads that do not perform. 96% of ads are forgotten and not even noticed. Literally hundreds of billions of dollars spent on Facebook alone, running ads that simply don't perform. And that's because marketers have to use guesswork when it comes to choosing their creative, or perhaps they can A/B test. But the challenge with that is you only know something doesn't work after it hasn't worked. So you have to run it in the real world and then see what performs and what doesn't. And that's where we come in. We use cutting edge computer vision and natural language processing to be able to turn that creative into data. And this enables marketeers to use artificial intelligence to write the best copy, select the best performing creative, and test their ads before they run them in the real world. So they know what works and, more importantly, what doesn't work. This means they never waste budget on ads that don't perform, and they never get beaten by their competitors. Our case studies show this gives incredible results. Virgin Media saw an 87% improvement in their sales, and Aegon Insurance reduced their cost per lead by almost half. And because of our simple pricing metric, these results drive a 10x ROI within months of working with us. Our leadership team consists of experienced commercial executors with multiple exits and a co-founding team with deep artificial intelligence and machine learning expertise. We're looking to raise 2.5 million to fund our growth plans, and that will be made up of our current investment team and a new investor or investors. This is a rapid growth sector of the marketplace, and our ambitions are aligned to the demand in the industry for artificial intelligence-led creative analysis that significantly improves our performance and reduces waste. I'm Stefan Britton, we're DataSine, and we want to help you change the marketing industry.
Great, thank you so much to Stefan for that. Never wasting budget. I think everyone likes the sound of that. So up next, we have AudioMob. I think everyone knows that, podcasts, Clubhouse, audio is in. So how do we produce advertisements that are audio with AudioMob?
Hi, I'm Christian, founder of AudioMob. AudioMob was founded by myself, an ex-Google and ex-Facebook employee, and Wilfred, our co-founder and CTO, who used to work at Google as an engineer, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs. We actually both met whilst at Google, and our startup is based in Google for Startups in London. We've raised a total of $2 million to date, and this idea actually came from us exploring the streaming of music that I was producing into the mobile games that I was making, and we soon changed to audio ads, and this is what we came up with.
Say hello to Disney Plus. Start streaming the most...
We've created the first non-intrusive audio ad solution for brands. We enable you to send audio messages to gamers without interrupting gameplay. We can reach over 1 billion players and are seeing over 1,000% increase in click-through engagement. Our work was noticed by Business Insider, the numerous labels we've worked with were noticed by Billboard, and our general client traction with agencies and brands has been noticed by Forbes. There are many brands that we've worked with that have tested our platform. Those include Warner, Sony, Universal Music Group with Justin Bieber, the Sugar Hill Gang, and even King Games. We've also worked with car manufacturers, health clinics, banks, all of them seeing 1,000% increase in click-through engagement. We have a highly sophisticated system that can reach broad and extremely niche audiences. There are 2.7 billion mobile gamers globally, and audio ads are the hottest ad formats due to high user engagement. We're looking for more brands to run campaigns with using our groundbreaking solution as a precursor to a potential longer-term partnership. Thanks for listening and hope to speak to you soon.
Great, thank you so much, Christian. 1,000% increase in click-through rate and working with Justin Bieber. Pretty awesome. I hope you got some free tickets. So up next we have Hindsight. We all know the cookie is crumbling. Okay, sorry for the corny joke. But welcome Hirsch with Hindsight, a cookieless ad platform.
Hey Plug and Play, my name is Hirsch Patel and I'm the founder of Hindsight, the creators of the contextual adaptive ad format. Our team at Hindsight believes ads should be more flexible and adaptive, not fixed, and that ads should be privacy-first experiences. The content a reader is engaging with right now is a stronger signal than what the reader was doing yesterday or the week before. With these two pillars, Hindsight has been partnering with brands to launch campaigns that are powered with its contextual adaptive ad formats. So let's go through a few examples. FanDuel, who has been working with us since last year, was looking for a more native way to acquire users from web content for their sportsbook. They originally were running generic creatives and doing broad contextual targeting to show their ads on sports articles. Leveraging Hindsight's adaptive ad format, FanDuel is now able to not just match the sport, but also the specific team or player of importance in the article, and show information that is relevant to that data point. In this case, a team's next matchup and associated sports betting lines. So in an article about the Los Angeles Clippers, the ad content is focused on the Clippers' next matchup against the Orlando Magic. And then, if a reader is on an article about Tim Duncan, the content of the creative updates to showcase the sports betting lines for the Spurs' next matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies. This fully automated strategy almost makes the ad seem like editorial content because it's so closely aligned and integrated into the article. This new creative strategy, most importantly, makes your campaigns more effective and profitable. We've observed, on average, a 4 to 5x increase in click-through rate versus fixed creatives. Also, with our ability to granularize the messaging and deep link, users start their journey further down your customer acquisition funnel, closer to a conversion. So partner with Hindsight to power advertising in a cookieless web and improve your creative capabilities with our adaptive technologies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hirsch, for that. It's awesome. So up next, we have Adam from StreamSum. So this provides media attribution and programmatic live stream advertising.
Hey, I'm Adam Pershey, co-CEO of StreamSum. I have a question for you. As an advertiser, you want to reach hyper-engaged audiences, right? Have you considered live stream advertising? The eyeballs and attention are already there, and the market is still rapidly growing. Your focus should be on engaging those audiences the right way. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You can advertise on Twitch right now, but it's going to cost you a fortune, and it's not even targeted. Meaning you're wasting time with those repetitive pre-roll ads that everyone hates or just mutes out of. Whether you're an endemic or non-endemic advertiser, don't devalue your brand. Instead, create real affinity for those products with the communities that are going to love you back. That's why we created Stream Ads. It's a programmatic live stream advertising platform where you're able to advertise both in stream and in chat. It's non-invasive, so broadcasters get to stream like normal, and you reach the communities in a more engaged way. Our network runs on first-party data, and we're also privacy compliant. Now, if you're a brand, publisher, or an agency, Stream Ads is perfect for you. You can reach hyper-engaged audiences with minimal effort and maximum exposure. We have rich analytics, and you can set up a campaign in less than 5 minutes. It's really that easy. Now let me introduce you to the StreamSum team. Dom and I previously had our companies acquired, and Gurvinder is the former CTO of IBM North America. We have a kick-ass team of 10, and we're experienced in developing innovative products and community building. Now, if you're an advertiser, get early access to Stream Ads today. If you're an investor, I really hope you didn't just go AFK. We're raising right now from strategic partners. It's been so much fun live streaming to the Plug and Play community today. Thank you so much, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. So you heard it. Investors, corporates, partners, contact Adam. Great stuff ahead. So then up next, we have Beam.city. So did you know 60% of money spent on digital advertisement is wasted? How can we fix that? Well, with Beam.city.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zeze Peters, the founder and CEO of Beam.city. I'd love to introduce you to DNA, our ads automation platform that makes it easy for you to multiply your ROI with digital ads everywhere. At Beam.city, we believe that digital advertising can be easy. So we've assembled a team of overachievers, including the Cornell-educated rocket scientist, me, Oxford MBA, and Dell Architect, and many more, to build what will be the future of digital advertising. In 2020, we grew revenues 21 times, tripled our team, and now we support 16 ad channels, including 3 e-commerce stores like Shopify, Amazon, and WooCommerce. And we'll be adding our Zapier integration soon so that all your data can help all your ads get better automatically. The problem is the tools we use are complex. It takes 1,000 actions to get great results on any of the ad networks, which means you're spending hours to set up, hours for monitoring, and the data you get back is aggregated, which is not very good for making insights most of the time. So what we've done is built a platform that's 100 times easier to use. so you can unify your ad strategy on Facebook, Google, Instagram, Yahoo, Bing, Twitter, LinkedIn, Amazon, and more from one place. Publish your ads in minutes, and AI kicks in to optimize your audience targeting 24/7. This is great for all sorts of businesses, but CPG brands and multi-store businesses do best with us. Danby Appliances brought in their ad campaigns and got 6 times better results in 3 days while reducing effort by 91%. Would love to work with you for investment, pilots, and partnerships. Reach out to me. I'm Zeze, and I look forward to talking to you.
Thank you so much, Zeze. So as we just saw, we have multiple startups attack different problems in the advertising industry. So we have a panel really exciting coming up, all about media and ad innovation. So right now I would like to welcome all of our panel guests, great CEOs and founders of these startups, along with Kevin from Plug and Play.
All right, look at that background compliance too.
Definitely.
Love to see it. So welcome everyone.
Hi everybody.
We can do a quick round of introductions. Kevin can go first on the Plug and Play side, and then we can move into the startups.
Sure thing. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm Kevin. I'm a principal here at Plug and Play. I lead all our investments in commerce, media, and advertising. And great to be on the panel.
Hi, I'm Stephen Britton, and Chief Revenue Officer and Commercial Director at DataSine.
Hey everyone, Harsh Patel here, CEO, founder of Hindsight. Looking forward to the panel and all of your questions.
I'm Zeze Peters, founder and CEO of Beam.city. I'm looking forward to having this amazing conversation. This is going to be good.
Hi, I'm Adam Pershke, co-CEO of StreamSum. Again, also looking forward to have conversations today. It's going to be really fun.
Great, thank you so much, everyone. So we see, multimedia advertising is a really strong theme here. Where do you see the future, and how are you attacking this? We can start with Adam.
Yeah, so I think, that there's a multi-channel approach as we know it today, and that's going to end up changing. We're seeing this in market as live stream grows, digital collectibles are now a thing, and creators are now businesses. Linear TV has slowly dissipated. Streaming services have replaced it, OTT and live streaming. There is this life cycle of new interests, products, and ways to reach people. And this is what we're all kind of here to figure out and create products around. So advertisers themselves are going to really have to rethink their current strategies for both digital and physical goods to stay relevant. I do think that there's going to be a point in the future where the players in the various spaces are going to reposition along this value chain that we have in a partly consolidated market, though. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Agreed. Thank you so much. And then let's move to Christian from AudioMob. I'm sure you have an interesting take on this as well.
Hi, apologies. Had some technical issues there. I just came in around 15 seconds ago. If you just repeat the question.
Oh, no worries at all. So how do you see the future of multimedia advertising?
Okay, great. So I see that cross-device attribution and omnichannel marketing is absolutely going to be key. We're already seeing it in terms of privacy concerns increasing, the fact that there's going to be the death of the cookie and now iOS 14. So it's going to be more important than ever to make sure that every single touch point that a user has, that the brands are able to access those touch points. So it's not just TV and YouTube, it's mobile gaming, console gaming, tablets, podcast, etc. But the whole industry is moving there. So every single touch point that you get access to present your brand in front of that user is going to have exponential impact on your brand's affinity with that user going forward.
Definitely. And then moving into the death of the cookie, I think we know who takes the lead here. Go over to Harsh.
Hey guys. Yeah, so the death of the cookie has been something that has been on everyone's mind, especially with Google's announcement earlier last year. And I think that a lot of the solutions to replace the cookie have been ironed out in terms of first-party data from companies like LiveRamp, second-party data. A lot of companies are really focused.
I think we may have hit a freeze. This is the joy of the online events. But we can move on.
Want me to jump in, Gwyneth?
Oh.
Yeah, it's Stefan from DataSine. Do you want me to just jump in real quick until Hirsch comes back? So basically, I think what we're seeing actually is that this is actually going to make advertisers work a little bit harder. And I think it's a good thing. I lived through the GDPR event in email, and actually what it did is made people raise their standards. Best practice became a little bit more normalized. So I think what we're going to see here is a lot more effort put into the creative that's used. So rather than hyper segmentation, which I think actually had diminishing returns on anyway, but looking more, instead of being able to target one person in exactly the right place, they're going to look the other way now and look at the creative and make sure that the content that they're putting out in front of people is unique, it's individual, it's interesting, it's inspiring. So for us, we're already seeing that marketers are having to step up their game and rely more on the creative and less on that hyper segmentation of audience strategies.
So Stefan, quick question on my side. Let's assume our audience is a mix of ad tech professionals that know everything about cookies, and then as well as people from other industries. So can you give us a quick summary of what's going on in terms of cookie policy and why that's so important for the advertising world?
There's a few moving parts, but I see Hirsch is back. I'm going to defer to Hirsch because I think Hirsch is probably the subject matter expert on this. Hirsch, are you able to pick that up?
Yeah, sorry, what was the question, Kevin? Sorry for.
So just a quick summary of what's going on in the industry and to the relevance of Hindsight, because obviously we weren't able to cover that in 2 minutes. What happened prior to this, if our audience is not part of the ad tech world?
Sure. Yeah, so when advertising first started, it was all contextual. It was all based off of, the general categories that a reader was on and, just brushstrokes, being able to connect the dots there. And then when browsers were able to start collecting history and information on users with a third-party cookie, all advertising pretty much shift to that budget. And like for the past 10, 15 years, the cookie and that user data has just been so strong to be able to track attribution, target the right users. But over the past 2 to 3 years, I mean, I'm sure you guys seen Google, Facebook, everyone hit with a lawsuit of the data, the privacy, the private information that they collect, and users starting to fight back. And so, the browsers started to make the movement first with Safari, then with Firefox, and say, hey, this data that we've been collecting previously, we're not going to allow to be leveraged by advertisers. And then the 800-pound gorilla Google came into the picture 6 to 8 months ago and said that we're going to follow suit. And by Q1 of next year, third-party cookies are not going to be available. And so you have this piece of data that has been powering 95% plus of the advertising ecosystem going away. And so users are trying to figure out, or brands are trying to figure out, how do we replace that? And the replacements are most obviously first-party data, which is the data that is collected by the sites themselves. So the behemoths like Google and Facebook have a lot of first-party data. Let's not fool ourselves. Google made that announcement to benefit themselves at the end of the day, right? They have the most first-party data across the web. And then second-party data and contextual is now back in play. And so I think everything is in place now to be able to replace the cookie. It's never going to be as effective, but now there needs to be more conversation on how can we use contextual data and how can we use first-party data and those non-invasive data points to innovate and go beyond just traditional placement targeting to other innovations like creative intelligence, different types of platforms that you might otherwise not advertise on to access to, and so on and so forth.
Makes sense. But then, so Zizi and Stefan, before even the cookieless kind of change, I think there was drastic inefficiency in the market in terms of ad attribution and any kind of placement. And I know that Christian and Adam both also touch on the idea of that the experience of advertisements was more of a burden than necessarily a pleasure. Can one of you comment on why this market was so inefficient for the longest time?
Yeah, so go ahead, Stefan. I'll go after you.
Okay, well, you say it was inefficient. I'd argue that perhaps it still is. I think for me, the big thing, and I'm going to be quite controversial here, is that I think going forward, we're probably going to see more of a reliance on companies like DNA and DataSine rather than these big global agencies, because what we're seeing today really is the democratization of intelligence in many ways. So what these software tools do is mean that anybody can become an expert. So you haven't got to rely on a really expensive £500 a day agency that have swanky offices all over the world. You're going to use tools now, and that intelligence is going to be put in the hand of not necessarily the layman, but certainly in marketing, people can then look at these accounts and not necessarily have to defer to specialists. So I think when we're talking about inefficiencies, I still see a huge amount of inefficiencies. We work with one retail brand in the UK that have 6 agencies involved in their ad creation process. So there are 6 agencies involved taking a piece of the pie before an ad even goes live. And I think the future is going to be that software will put all of that and put it into the hands of the marketer, and then they can make the intelligent decisions and make great ads. And I think companies like us and DNA, I think also, and also you other guys, but obviously DNA in particular, because we're right in that same sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, the past has been extremely inefficient, right? You can think about it as advertising 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. You know, we all started out with the banner ads, and then we figured out, hey, we can use cookies to get some more information. And then with platforms like Facebook and others, you started getting additional behavioral targeting. But with the death of the cookie, obviously that's going to change some things. But going back to the question of complexity, the tools were made ad hoc as the industry grew. We're getting now to the position where people generally know what they're trying to do with their ads. They just don't know how to do it. Hence the 6 agency stack Stefan just mentioned. But the world really needs to move in the direction of easier to use tools. And the only way to do it in a huge data system like advertising, you know, just like the financial system, there's huge amounts of data moving every single millisecond, is to use AI enhanced tools, right? Because now the AI can augment human capabilities. You can get a lot more done. You can actually get the knowledge, not just the data. And that allows you to make fantastic decisions that will help your business, your brand to scale everywhere. I wanted to just really briefly talk a little bit about the cookie issue. You know, from a solutions perspective, I mean, everybody knows what the root issue is, but this issue is not insurmountable. The bigger people who will be affected most are the non-platform advertisers or the non-platform DSPs, because you know the platform advertisers like the Facebooks and the Googles and all those other guys, they have their cookies that won't go away, but everybody else will have a lot of issue. There's some easy ways to fix it. I say easy, but it really means APIs and things like the Facebook Conversions API integration or other platforms that do something similar. But it boils down to, you know, do people want to be targeted anyway? And there'll be some new platforms that'll be built that will allow people to volunteer their personas. In the next couple of years, we'll see them start to pop up so that ownership capability can start coming out. But really, it will end up being propensity-based targeting so that you show your ads at the places where the people will be, a little less of the chase me all over the internet situation that happens today.
That's a good point, because I think what it all comes back to is like you want to hit your users at I call it like in the moment focus, and it's something that's been lost a lot with like was just mentioned, you know, just scattering ads across the web for brand management. You know, affiliate has done this forever, but affiliate is just a super manual process where it's super in the moment, right? It's an article about talking a product, and then you place an ad to buy that product. There's other ways to do that programmatically. I mean, Waze does it with location-based ads. You know, TV and Instagram content is starting to become more shoppable. And so those types of in the moment placements and those in the moment interactions that you can create
it's really going back to the basics, but innovating around it and being able to drive efficiencies through conversions and engagements with that type of mentality.
I guess the last point I'd like to add, another data point but from a different angle. There's two ways that brands need to deliver true value. One is the data points that you get to target the user, and the other one is the delivery. And outside of the contextual advertising targeting that AudioMob provides, you've got voice-activated ads, you've got in-game non-intrusive ads, and for us, you've got non-intrusive audio ads. The idea is behind the two data points, a positive and a negative prior. If there is a negative prior, i.e. the user's about to be blocked, they don't like being blocked, but if the ad is relevant, then they'll consume the ad. However, if you remove that negative prior, and it doesn't block the gameplay, whether it's an in-game billboard ad or a voice-activated ad, or in our case, an audio ad, then that ad is more likely to be consumed. And the delivery is as important as the data points you use to target the audience. So that's a very important thing for brands to remember.
Yeah, and actually on that point, that's Christian, that points to exactly what we're doing in terms of in-stream and in-chat advertising, specifically for that. I do think, end of cookies, it's a thing, right? Big tech wins. But, for us and what we're doing, cohort-based analysis against similar interests, or what was mentioned, selling your persona, and then being able to contextually target that is definitely going to come into play in the future.
Yeah, so I think we all had a chuckle when Stefan mentioned, 6 different consultants before an ad goes out. It seems excessive, but without tech, it's just what you have to do. So how do you convince these creatives to use tech, to use AI, and that it doesn't disrupt the creative process?
Well, I'll take the lead on that, if I may, just because that's very much what we do. So we're a tool that does creative analysis using AI. And at first, people did resist it because they felt like perhaps we were going to replace the creative and the human in that creative process. And for us, what we're doing actually really is offering the creatives almost some insights and direction. So we're not looking to come up with concepts. We're not going to tell a brand your next ad should be a black and white 1930s themed Art Deco thing. We're not doing that. What we are is spell check for creatives. So we can give them direction and insights to say, do more of this, less of this. The data tells us that your audience responds more to this sort of thing and less to this sort of thing. So that means that they're not being replaced. And as soon as they realize they're not being replaced, they calm down and they open up. And then if you give them some data, because every creative in the world has probably got a list of 100 stupid things that clients have told them to do, starting with, can you make the logo bigger? That seems to be the first thing. I've done it myself. We were recently redesigning our website and I found myself telling our agency, can you make it look more sciencey? That kind of feedback is useless. So being able to give your creative teams real data they can turn to their clients and their customers with and say, hey, the reason we made this creative decision was because of this point of data, it enables them to perhaps then have more say at a higher level within the business. And they're not then just constrained and seen as just designers. They're actually being able to use data to make informed decisions. So I think, as with anything, you've got to empower them to look good in front of their boss, and you've got to make their boss look good in front of their client. And if everybody works together to make everyone else look good, we will end up looking good. So that's kind of how you make them happy.
Yeah, the way I'm seeing this is you're ultimately selling a promotion to whoever we talk to, right? So
exactly.
What gets them the promotion? Fantastic performance and a lot less wasted time. Creatives are going to create. What they want to do is make stuff. And so what happens today is a lot of the tools just really get in the way of them doing what they want to do. You end up having marketing team having stacks and stacks of data scientists, and that's why they would get stacks of agencies, because a lot of companies don't want to have that additional capability in-house because it's not the core of their business. And so what they need is better tools to help them to get the creatives out and quickly and get the data that they need to make good decisions. But if they have to struggle and fight and juggle a lot of things, they're just going to opt out and outsource. And that means that they lose flexibility, they lose the ability to iterate, they lose the ability to actually learn about their customer. It's one thing to get a report from an agency, and frankly, agencies do a really good job, to be honest, getting the data to clients. But some really rapid fire tests that businesses want to do, they've completely lost that capability to do it. And frankly, they can't even do it at scale. You can imagine a multi-location business wants to run a campaign. the capability to personalize ads for every single location is really, really tough right now. The ability to say, hey, you know what, this is the data for every single location. Most agencies will bark, to get that data because it's just not there. So you need tools to actually give you the data to make it easy so that the agencies can win if if that's what they're trying to do, and the businesses themselves who might want to own some of this in-house can get that capability. They don't have to scale their teams out a lot more than they want.
And just to add to that, I think the one flawed logic, or not flawed logic, but the thought process that can be improved upon when you think about creative is that creative has always meant to be in the industry a reactive process. You put something out there, you get data, and then you react to it. From an innovative perspective, you can use AI to make it more predictive, right? Leveraging different data points of who the user is, or now with cookies going away, the content that they're consuming, to be able to adapt the creative, change the creative to align with an intent of that individual or intent of that platform or content that is being consumed right then and there. And so I think with where technology is, reactive is always going to play a big part, and that's what DCO has been, for the past 3 to 5 years. It's been a reactive process, but with all the insights that we've gathered over time, I think there needs to be a movement from creative being a reactive strategy to one that's more predictive, and that's going to remove a lot of the friction and a lot of the inefficiencies and wasted spend in the beginning that will just drive higher ROI on the back end.
So Hirsch, do you think that almost reduces the creativity in creative? Kind of part of the beauty of advertising, right, is taking a risk and seeing how the market reacts and then doing something different. But if you know exactly how the market's going to react, I mean, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good point. Like, it's not to reduce the creativity, but it's to be able to align those different creative assets in the right combination to the right user, to the right content base, right? And so you can still be creative on the different platforms you advertise on, but I'm in the belief that a creative should never be fixed, because the same creative won't resonate with user A versus user B, or content A versus content B. If an article is about if going back to a sports example, right? If the NBA is advertising for their e-commerce, and one article is about the Lakers, the other article is about the Pistons, why would you just put a generic NBA ad on both of those platforms? Sure, it's a sports ad on a sports article, but you have all this information of one article being about a specific team, another article being about another team, and there's enough intelligence out there to be able to extract that and be able to on the fly change the creative to be able to be aligned with that key meta point, right? And so I don't think we're taking away the creativity. I think we're just dissecting creatives to be more, a combination of elements instead of one fixed element, and that allows a lot of dynamic nature and a lot of flexibility of how you can best assemble.
Let me back you up, Hirsch. The word there is hyper-personalization. So
exactly, that's right.
What Hindsight does, and I'm selling someone else's thing, that's okay, is hyper-personalization at scale everywhere, so that it's easier for your content to show up to the right people at the right time. Obviously, the creatives still have to create the content, but the targeting will pick the right content for the right scenario. And that's really what it's more about. Creatives will always create, like I said, and they got to create the base, but the platform has to put the right content in front of the right people.
And I think Kevin, just to pick up on your point about creativity and testing, what you're touching on here is actually the concept of A/B testing is pretty flawed, really, when you think about it, because what it means is you only know something doesn't work after it hasn't worked. You wouldn't do that with any other part of your business, right? You wouldn't make 2 cars, one with a square steering wheel and one with a round one, and see which one gets the most crashes and then sell the other one. That's just not what you would do. But that's what advertisers are doing, spending billions of pounds every year in dollars putting ads live that don't work. So what we're suggesting is, rather than not testing, of course you should test, but test in a platform before you publish. That's what we're saying. So you can be as creative as you like, but we can test because we've got lots and lots of creative data to tell you whether an ad will work or not before you spend your budget on it. And that's going to make a huge difference, because that means the quality of ads will go up, the creativeness will actually go up. It just means we're not being tested on in the real world. The tests happen first, then the good stuff makes it to the real world.
If I may, I'd like to add something to what Stefano said. In some scenarios, what we've seen is that A to B tests are frequently the wrong tool. So in reality, marketing is an iterative business, and you do need to test just about everything at some level. But what we found is that sometimes the creative direction is completely wrong to who the business actually wants to see the campaigns. We actually had some campaigns we ran for some of our clients, and it turned out that each creative had a completely different persona that aligned with it. And they were able to figure out that, hey, actually our creatives may be targeting the wrong people. So the broad creative shown to everybody was attracting the wrong kinds of people. And then they were able to tweak and change the creative to match who they actually wanted to talk to. It's just like writing a whole bunch of creatives, and you end up attracting the seniors instead of attracting the millennials or the Gen Zs. I mean, obviously your sales numbers will look different if you're targeting the wrong people. And A to B can help you to achieve. You can use A to B to just say, hey, this content is good versus not. But really, you could, what we found is with rich data insights, you can actually use it to steer your creative. Let the data steer the creative instead of forcing the creative to be the end all.
Great. And then I'm interested in Adam and Christian's take on this too, doing advertising kind of in more unique platforms.
So just to iterate on earlier, it really is to do with a mixture of the data and the delivery. So for instance, in terms of what we do with non-intrusive audio ads in games. So we've introduced a new number of signals into the market. We call them audio intent signals. So for instance, a lot of the advertising industry is built around your eyes, what you see, what you hear in a podcast. However, if you're playing a game and you know the session time, how long the user spends on the game, and you know that users play games because they're having fun, usually the threshold is quite high. So we get this as a metric. And then we start tracking, okay, how much of an audio ad has a user listened to? So the quartile, do we know if the user decided to mute or X the ad? And then we track the click-through. And then what this audio intent signal is it's a proxy that the gaming environment that the user's playing in, high engagement, they're interested. And if you think about it, if you're playing a game, then you decide to listen to an ad and then click through, it means that the value of the ad was higher than the game that you were initially playing. And that is what the audio intent signal is based around. And whether it's for audio ads, podcast ads, video ads, etc., just being aware of startups that are generating these new signals, new contextual signals, and things like that. It's going to be, I honestly think it's where the future is going, and it's incredibly important. Again, just to mix the data from the audience targeting combined with the delivery.
Yeah, and so from our end, we're looking at it both from a signaling perspective, from categories that are played or streamed on, say, Twitch, in terms of interest. So that's one of the perspectives that we're looking at. So if, for example, I like to watch Fortnite or Counter-Strike or one of those that are a first-person shooter, I can now start to make these correlations between every single time a single person sees an ad on a different channel. On top of that, though, when you talk about live streaming, you have these broadcasters that have these amazing, really defined communities. And the best person to talk and tell you about what their audience likes the best is the broadcaster. And so we're actually requesting that data directly from that, as well as using external data to determine what interests are to contextually target the right audiences at the right time, and really be able to connect with those communities.
Yeah, and I think bringing up those communities in general, what do you think about the future with content creators? How does that affect you guys?
Oh, if we're talking, I'm a maximalist on this. So like if we're talking, right now, the here and now versus, 2025, I'd say that the industry for content creators started with, I'm a creator, I can do something, this is cool, you know, it's my hobby. Then you get to like this layer 2, which is I have some solutions now for creators to help them better their selves, their communities, their broadcasts, you know, whatever it might be. And now you have this layer 3 where creators are the businesses, and they understand this now, and brands have to understand this as well, and be able to work with them strategically to not just get, you know, your product or service in front of it, but really ingrain into the culture of these individual communities, because ultimately your brand culture, your affinity need to shine. People in the gaming space, you talk a lot about, you know, endemic and non-endemic brands. So endemic brands are those that have been in the space for a while. Their energy drinks, their gaming gear, their apparel. And then you have non-endemics, which might be, you know, mobile apps or banking, you know, stuff that's not really there. Well, that culture is going to be totally different. So our goal is to ingrain you in the right audiences, the right communities to do that. And part of that, though, is understanding the communities themselves from a broadcaster perspective. But it's going to be really interesting to see in the next few years how that evolves and how it can generate new opportunities that are totally different from, you know, right now for brands.
That makes sense. And a lot of our conversation was discussing data points, you know, to further advertisements, creativity, and so on. Can you collect proper data points on these content creators? Because with TikTok, you have someone going viral overnight. So how do you kind of approach that? How do you tell brands what's going on when someone gets, you know, 1 million views within hours?
Yeah, so there are different platforms. Each one has their own culture. Each one has their own, you know, open APIs as well as trends. And TikTok is really interesting. Live stream in general, just like on Twitch, there can be a variation of that. Now, part of that is using the open APIs from the platforms themselves, but also collecting the data from the community and from the broadcasters. What's streaming, for example? If I want to advertise to Fortnite and then all of a sudden Fortnite, you know, the community hates it all of a sudden, which won't happen. But, you know, in this example it did, okay, what's the next trend? Does that relate to Fortnite? How do I approach that from an advertising perspective and generate a high ROI, both from a brand visibility perspective, but also, you know, conversion of sales. So it's going to be really interesting to see those shifts, and we already see those on multiple platforms. But yeah, it's an ever evolving space, and things change by the day.
On the topic of gaming, I guess, just to chuck in my 2 cents here. Again, you know, the shifts are going to be, it's going to be a paradigm shift in terms of how we, you know, reach users, and also, you know, what's going to be important to the creator. So to give you an example, you know, working with Justin Bieber's team, the Sugar Hill Gang, KSI, and lots of these different artists, and you know, all these guys that are the cutting edge of, you know, creativity, right? They're musicians, right? And especially when it comes to creating the ads too, we would ask them, you know, do you know what your listeners very well, what videos they watch, but do you know what games they play? And not a lot of them would know, of course, because this medium that we've created is brand new. And when it comes to, you know, deciding and researching for the creator what kind of games people play, like we know, for instance, the Sugar Hill Gang, a lot of their audiences are, you know, above 45 years old. People above 45 years old play certain kinds of games, such as, you know, crosswords, puzzles, and not, you know, those action-oriented games, generally speaking. And it's this kind of data that we can get to truly aid the creator, so they know how to contextualize the ad that they are trying to send to a specific user in a gaming environment. The reason this is so important is, you know, there's 2.7 billion gamers, and you're going to need to know how to segment these games. And this kind of ties to a second point, which is, again, with the cookie, iOS 14, etc., people are always going to get more protected for the data, not less.
And I think contextual advertising is going to cause a paradigm shift across the whole industry. And it's going to allow other technologies that bolster contextual advertising signals to come to the forefront to help the creatives.
So one last question. I know our ops team is going to hate me for this, but because we're running out of time. But so we touched on two major themes here, right? Throughout this panel. One is large tech companies have gotten increased kind of power in the last, let's say, 2 to 3 years, especially with this cookieless policy. And the other, which is what we just touched on, is creatives are owning more or getting more and more ad dollars, or sorry, not creatives, creators are getting more and more ad dollars every year, right? Yesterday we spoke about how if you poll your average high schooler these days, they often want to become an influencer or a creator versus an investment banker or a consultant. So given that paradigm shift, you know, and obviously the ones who are not benefiting as much, maybe publishers or other existing channels where eyeballs used to go to, does that at all change any of your sales strategies? Is this for you just kind of a temporary thing? Is this a monumental shift? Should you be focusing more on tech and creators, or how do you see it?
I think I'm biased, you know, for where I am. So I absolutely think brands should focus on creators. I mean, we see this in the influencer space, you know, influencer as a term. You know, now influencer has turned into creators, creators have turned into businesses. It's definitely somewhere that advertisers should be, brands should be looking at that specifically. But you know, that being said, there are a wide range of areas in the near future that will impact everybody in the industry, and you know, I could go into that, but it's pretty forward thinking.
Yeah, so I think that I mean, yes. Okay, let me reframe my thinking. Okay, so by 2024, 2025, the global advertising ad spend will be about $550 billion. That's $500 billion, and a lot of that growth is going to come from existing platforms. But really, there are, you know, there's always the new hot person on TikTok, the new hot person on YouTube, on Twitter, any platform. But frankly, there are whole new platforms with whole new armies of people who have eyeballs coming on the internet every about 18 months. TikTok is live, Amazon just came live, you know, Pinterest is there, Quora, everybody else, and they all have certain personas of people who will engage through those platforms with the content or with whatever advertising that will come through it. So at Beam.city DNA, we see that that's really what's kind of happening. You know, we're consuming more media of different types, Spotify, we're doing YouTube and so on. And so if you're a brand and you're looking to get to your customer wherever they are, you're going to need tools to be able to reach the customer wherever they are, because the internet is fragmented. There are tens of millions of websites, maybe 1 million of the top ones, and a lot of the ones that have the most traffic are platforms. So if you want to do platform advertising easily, you're going to need tools like what we've got. If you want to reach customers easily, you want to be able to talk to them continuously, get the best data insights targeting. Come talk to me at Beam.city DNA. Sorry, that ended up as a pitch.
So I wanted to expand on that a little bit into a broader view. So, you know, let's have fun with this. You know, the future of ad tech industry, the way I imagine it, it's a world where you interact with brands, their communities, creators in a digital and physical spaces, right? You have technologies like augmented and virtual reality. You have, you know, creator and in the future brand coins on the blockchain that associate themselves with products that are dropping. You know, if you're all familiar with drops, both in the physical and digital world. You have digital collectibles and video moments that we're now seeing that represent, you know, digital currencies and trading potential, but also enable what I dub as first community approaches to garner kind of these new age customers, that brand affinity and trust, while creating and fostering your culture, which ultimately what you do and what you should be focused on. So staying relevant really is the game. Now, when you look at this in terms of the metaverse, which isn't talked about too much yet, but it will be, it enables your diehard fans and new fans to have these experiential moments in time, new advertising capabilities for digital pop-up shops, and then you're bringing digital collectibles in, which is a whole nother level. The cool thing here is that live streaming is going to capture all of that as a mass market. So we've already seen this with in-game, music concerts that attract not only millions in the game itself, but then watch parties across platforms with millions more watching globally. So, in the future of brands, you'll see so many new capabilities to advertise, but in a way that's culturally appropriate and relevant to your right audiences. That's what you should be focused on. And so that's kind of my broader view on all the fun stuff that's going to happen in the next 5 years. If it's not, some of that's already happening now in kind of its nascent states.
Great. No, thank you so much. Right now is definitely an interesting time in advertising with all the privacy laws coming about, as well as COVID. So a lot of awesome change, and you guys are handling it in really cool ways. So all the VCs on the line, all the corporates on the line, reach out to us and we'll share contacts. We also have networking. So thank you again to all of our panelists, and I'm going to pass it off to Kirsten.
Thanks, Gwyneth. Talk soon, team.
All right, thanks so much everyone for being here today, and thanks to all of our panelists. Before we take a quick break for networking, I just want to review all of the tools that we have at our disposal so everyone can get the most out of today's experience. So first thing you want to do is navigate to our startup booths. You'll be able to find this in the lower left-hand menu. The startups there are organized by group and in the order that they're presenting today, so they'll be very easy for you to find. After that, make sure you have your Meet Now feature on by clicking on your name in the top right corner and toggling that switch to be on the on position. It'll be green, and that's how you know you're good to go. Then when you visit a startup booth, you'll see which team members are available to network, listed as they are here. If the circle is green, you can go ahead and give them a video call. If not, they may not be available at that time, but you can send them a chat. Another way to get connected with other people who are here today is through the community feature, also through the left-hand menu towards the top. You'll be able to search through everyone who is registered for this event by their name, by their title, or by their company name. And you can also learn a little bit more about them through their profiles or send them a message through the platform. And with that, we'll take a brief 10-minute break before we come back for our film and TV innovation session. So happy networking.
Here we go with the red 10-second countdown. So I hope everyone had a great break, got to meet some of the startups. If not, you still have chances to later in the day. But now we'll be moving into our next section, which is all centered around film and TV innovation. So up first, we have CatapultX. So the viewing experience doesn't have to be disrupted when you show ads. And I'll let Zach take it from here and show you how.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zach Rosenberg, co-founder and CEO of CatapultX, where our mission is to achieve the deepest level of understanding of video using AI. Led by myself, as well as James Altschuler, who worked together at a previous company, with the engineering team managed by James Tomorrow. We're also supported by those who know, executives, startup entrepreneurs, and leaders. And the problem is this: In a $61 billion a year market in the US just for digital video alone, everybody hates this experience. Get to a website, go to watch a video, stop by an ad like this one, hasn't changed in over 70 years. How do I know people hate it? The data supports it. 84% are going to leave, 65% are going to hit skip, 25% are going to block. If you're the advertiser, you miss the opportunity to achieve your goals. If you're the publisher, you don't make a nickel in any one of those scenarios. So here's how it works. Using our AI, we can match advertisers to contextually relevant moments in video like this one. In this clip here, our AI is detecting a number of logos and brands within the video stream, finding one we have programmatic access to, and then delivering them at that moment. In the next clip, we're using our AI to determine that the goalie has made a save, he's got great hands, perfect opportunity for Allstate insurance, even though they weren't mentioned in the video at all. And in the last clip, the advertiser wants to be associated with a moment. In this case, that moment is a goal being scored. We understand that's occurred. We know the famous face who did it. Now we can go and sell his jersey. So again, we're CatapultX. We are looking to raise $3 million, of which we've already raised $1 million, and can't wait to work with you too. Zach at CatapultX.com. Thanks so much.
That looks great. I think we'd all want to buy the jersey after, the lead soccer player makes the goal. So up next, we have Rhonda from Resonance AI. So this uses machine learning to determine how the video really impacts the audience.
My name is Randa Mankara, and I am the president and co-founder of Resonance AI. Resonance AI is a machine learning platform that determines what truly resonates with audiences in video content for networks, studios, broadcasters, and streamers. We founded Resonance AI in 2014, and after building the foundation of our platform, shifted our focus to video content 2 years ago. Our team of 13 are primarily focused on evolving this groundbreaking technology, creating one of the most efficient, accurate, and comprehensive analysis of video available today. We were accepted into the prestigious NVIDIA Inception program in 2019, and were one of only 3 AI companies selected as a TechCrunch top pick for Disrupt 2020. Our funding to date is $5 million. Our focus on video stems from the challenge of knowing what content people will want to watch, engage with, and talk about. Too many decisions that go into the creation of video depend on limited, costly, and slow methods like test audiences and viewer surveys. Our platform analyzes video elements like characters, pacing, mood, and dialogue, and then makes millions of connections between these elements and second-by-second viewer metrics, showing what is truly impacting the audience. Common use cases are improving audience engagement, understanding the impact of talent and characters, knowing what types of news stories resonate in which local markets, and creating more precise, targeted promotional advertising. Overall, this is about making better content and growing associated revenue. We are seeking further investment as well as looking for new customers and strategic partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. And the interface looks awesome too. So up next, we have Rizzle. Rizzle has already gained over 20 million users in just 14 months. So I'm going to hand it over to Vidya to show you how, anyone can host their own show.
Rizzle is a user-generated short series platform where every creator hosts multiple independent channels like vlogs, talk shows, comedy shows, even a scripted short series. I'm Vidya Narayanan, co-founder and CEO of Rizzle. Before Rizzle, I was at Google. I led the Android location and context team. I met my co-founder Lakshminath at Qualcomm Research, which is where I was before Google. Together, we've built a stellar team that is working on Rizzle. Our engineers and designers are from India's top schools. Our content and marketing team members have a deep experience in video, and they come from Facebook, ByteDance, and College Humor. Rizzle has grown to over 34 million users and 4.6 million channels in just 18 months in India and the US. Being a creator-first platform, we have innovated on the creator economy front, integrating sponsorships like Patreon directly into the platform, bringing creation, distribution, and monetization all in one place. Rizzle Studios launched 6 months ago to bring creator development programs and content certification for scripted short series. In this program, we've brought free Zoom classes in acting, directing, storytelling, dancing, etc. for creators to take their skills to the next level. From the content certification side, we've worked with rising actors and filmmakers and comedians who have brought scripted short series to the platform, some phenomenal work that exists in 4 different languages on the platform. We've certified over 4,500 scripted short series during the 6-month time frame. As a company, we've raised $14 million so far and are currently raising a $50 million Series B. We're looking to work with partners who are excited about the future of short videos and love teams with bold visions building a differentiated product in this space. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So up next we have Scriptbook. So imagine content analysis of thousands of pages of scripts, and you don't have to read it. Sounds pretty great. So here we go with Nadira.
Hello, my name is Nadira Azarmeh, and I'm the founder and CEO of Scriptbook. Scriptbook is an AI company with a mission to democratize the business of storytelling through the art of AI. The company was founded 5 years ago, and along with our wonderful team of data scientists, we managed to build 2 amazing products. Now, these 2 amazing products, one of them is our Scriptbook Analytics platform. This is an AI-driven platform that provides script analysis, content analysis, box office forecasting for film and TV projects. Our main users for this platform are production companies, studios, film funds, film distributors, pretty much every stakeholder in the filmed entertainment. Our second product is Deep Story, and Deep Story is actually an AI-driven script engine or a script generator. This product is currently in its alpha phase. It is also freely accessible for users. And our goal with this is really to increase content creation and make everybody a content creator, so everybody can actually access this engine and co-write, co-create a scripted narrative with our AI. We are very happy to have joined Plug and Play, and I'm really excited about this event as well. And I hope to be able to connect with like-minded souls. I hope to be able to connect with interesting corporate partners, also with investors that have a specific interest in film tech or tech for filmed entertainment, and pretty much everybody that believes in creating a democratized space in this big entertainment industry, and wants to create an ecosystem. So I'm happy to connect afterwards, and looking forward to meet new people and to grow my network as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Nadira. So up next, COVID has changed a lot of things, but some trends are here to stay. With Sceenic, you can have a watch party of your favorite shows with someone across the globe.
Hi, I'm Paul from Sceenic, and the Watch Together SDKs power some of the world's best co-viewing experiences. But don't take my word for it. BT Sport, T-Mobile, NPO, La Liga, the French Football Federation, FIFA, all the Watch Together experiences are powered by Sceenic. And here's Rio Ferdinand to tell you a little bit more about the BT Sport Watch Together experience.
The new BT Sport app just kicked off on EE's #1 5G network. Real-time stats at an incredible pace. Come on, you lot, we're in. That is tremendous link-up play from Rio. Oh, just look at that envy. There's no place for that in today's game. Get the EE full works plan with BT Sport thrown in.
And the launch last year was so successful that now BT Sport has teamed up together with UEFA to allow fans to watch the UEFA matches together. And they've even done a world first, launching Watch Together on Apple TV, so friends can watch sports on the biggest screen. We've also powered for MPO in their MPO Start platform. For the Tour de France, they allow the retired cyclist Michael Bugerg to join fans in the room with their permission. And this is what it looked like. We also power it for T-Mobile inside the Magenta Music platform, for FIFA, for the esports tournaments, and many others. No wonder that the Sports Innovation Lab voted Sceenic as the best co-viewing provider in the 2020 Power Play Index, naming us a game changer, which we're really proud for. So if you want the best co-viewing experience inside your video and OTT platform, come and talk to me at Sceenic and we'll be happy to work together. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul, for that. And now, thank you to all of the presentations. We have a panel. So I'll welcome everyone online right now. This is, surrounding film and television innovation. We're going to hear a lot of great insights to see, where the industry has been and is headed.
It's the Hollywood crew. Welcome.
Great. So first, I'll let Kevin introduce himself, and then we can do a very quick round of introductions and then dive into things.
Sure thing. And so I'm Kevin. I'm a principal here at Plug and Play. I lead all our commerce, media, and consumer investments. And I'll football it over to Zach.
Zach Rosenberg, co-founder and CEO of CatapultX. Pleasure to be here and speak with everyone about this really interesting topic.
Go to Paul's next for me, so you can.
Hey everyone, dialing in from London, UK, Paul from Sceenic, and looking forward to the chat.
Nadira.
I'll go over to Scriptbook.
Yeah, perfect.
Hey guys, Vidya from Rizzle. Really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, I feel like I should go. This is Randa Minkara from Resonance AI in Seattle. Glad to be here.
Great, and now I think we have a video.
We can't hear you, Nadira.
Oh.
Why don't we get into the first questions while Nadira figures out her audio?
Perfect. So I guess we can kind of just start with, what changes have you seen because of COVID? It spurred a lot of differences in the industry, starting out with Paul from Sceenic, lighting fire to this watch party. I'm sure about a year and a half ago, if someone said the word watch party, I'm not sure if, you would know what it was necessarily to a lot of people in the audience. But now I think everyone's pretty familiar, have tried it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Before COVID kicked off, you saw maybe 10 to 15 tweets per day on Twitter of someone saying, I'm about to do a watch party, watch together, group watch, or any of those kind of words describing co-viewing. Hit COVID in March, and then in April, we were tracking about 2,500 tweets per hour of people going, for the NFL draft, I've got my watch party on Zoom, right? And so it's went from 10 tweets per day to 2,500 per hour. And I think the NFL draft, someone said Zoom was the biggest broadcast network in the world of a watch party, right? And then from there, we just basically, the phone kept ringing, emails kept coming through, and you saw the list of clients, right? All those pretty much launched. Some of the conversations were already ongoing in 2018, 2019, right? But yeah, that hockey stick moment for Sceenic
and the industry about co-viewing came right after the COVID. Then you saw Disney Plus bring out Group Watch, and everyone in the industry from IBC to NAB started talking about that. And then you saw Sling TV launch watch party, you know, the ad with the grandpa, it's Saturday, I'll watch movies with grandpa, right? So of course I'm gonna say, what's the effect on COVID that I've seen on industry is this co-viewing has been really brought to the forefront.
Awesome. And then I think another, effect of COVID is that social media. So I'd love to hear Vidya's thoughts on that and how Rizzle is doing.
Yeah, as a video platform, there are a couple of things that happened with COVID, right? Number one is, as we all stayed home and did not really dress up to be out and about, we actually initially saw a decline in video creation because people didn't feel like they're camera ready, and hence there's a lot of like people feel. In fact, we used to see more videos being created on work days than weekends in general, and that a trend kind of every day was like the weekend, and we were like, okay, we had to innovate for COVID, and we actually introduced a feature called Collab, where people can remotely create videos together on the app, and that definitely saw a lot of boost. And then creators started motivating each other, and then things went the other way around and creating a lot of videos, blowing past their previous stages of creating videos and so on. So it was kind of like watching this curve go down a bit and then pick up and go way up beyond the levels they were at. Definitely an interesting phenomenon, but it has also given us a chance to reevaluate and innovate as a platform, and the idea of people collaborating from within their homes and the video kind of looking as if it was created in an interactive fashion without any professional editing was like a big step for some of the things we defined in Rizzle. Yeah, I mean, it's been a transformative experience.
Yeah, that's funny about more videos being created on weekdays. I'm sure the employers on the line wouldn't love to hear that, but such is life. So yeah, moving into that interactive media, Zach, I know CatapultX does some awesome things. So I'd love to hear about your progress, how you guys have taken off during COVID, what changes you've been seeing.
Well, thank you for that intro. Yes, things have definitely headed in the right direction for us, just as it sounds like everyone else, because more people are watching more video. And that's a trend that I think will certainly continue for a long time. And one of the things that we felt was that the way that people were engaging certainly changed. And I know Sceenic and Rizzle also talked about this, but the advertisers wanted to change along with it. And so we started to see a lot more adoption of a lot more interactive, innovative, fun ways that advertisers were trying to make themselves part of the conversation. Again, a trend that I think is going to continue forever. I'd like to think that CatapultX is going to be a big part of that. And certainly we're doing everything we can to make sure of it. But if you're going to be sitting there, watching more video than you tend to watch on a normal basis, the interruptive experience of most ads is really going to feel different for you. And that's, certainly anecdotal, and a lot of the data that we felt as well, where, you tend to see the same video ads over and over again. They were longer. You were sitting there for longer, so you were experiencing it more frequently. And, the interactive nature, the engaging nature, the new formats, again, we're the ones who are at the forefront are the ones who are going to change the way that they do the same old, same old.
Makes sense. And then I'm not sure if Rhonda wants to dive in here as well.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. What we saw initially was a little bit of a downturn in the sense that there was a lot less production suddenly, right? Because of COVID, we couldn't do anything. However, we found that opportunity to start working with broadcasters who are producing news every single day. And they need that second by second analysis to understand how their their, output, their stories is connecting with their audience. And now, of course, we see, narrative coming back. We see production resuming. We see things going back to normal. We also, found that opportunity to dive into other sorts of video that's out there. So I would say it went from a headwind to a tailwind. And what we've seen is with the reduction in force at many production houses, many studios, networks, et cetera, there's more and more need for AI. And now suddenly we're starting to see, okay, an acceptance of it, right? We're not here, we're a tool. We're not here to replace creativity. We heard that on the last panel. We're here to augment and to help. And if we can show you that you don't need 6 locations, you can use 4, why not?
Wow, and that's really interesting, moving from production houses to news and broadcasting. What did that look like for you?
Actually, it's a blast because it's obviously a cloud solution, automated, and so the news is uploaded every day. The analysis is turned back as soon as we have our second-by-second data to compare. So what we're doing is we're tying those elements inside of the video to the actual performance. And then you understand, is this combination of anchors the best, or should we be in front of the State House? Maybe that doesn't resonate with our audiences. So it comes really down to very, very, very large amounts of video being processed and turned very quickly, and in a way through the platform that is role specific, so it's actionable.
Yeah, and then you mentioned, as production houses are opening up and aiding in that creative process. I think you guys, as well as Scriptbook, can really help further that creative process by getting rid of, some of the monotonous tasks, going through thousands of pages and so on. So the creatives can really focus on that creativity and excelling at what they excel at.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So a number of, so what I've been noticing in this market, I'm curious on everyone's take on this, is, so one thing that, that occurred in the last year due to the pandemic is obviously AMC and Universal had that landmark deal break in terms of, for the longest time ever, AMC always got first dibs on all Universal movies. And, the way that we would broadcast content was always through a theater and then, later available via streaming and so forth. That paradigm is shift. That's one. And then the other paradigm that's obviously shift is kind of to Vidya's point of individual creators are creating highly engaging content that often is even getting more eyeballs than the top Disney movies will be. So eyeballs are changing. How is that changing for your platforms? How do you evolve around where consumers are now going, and what does that mean for your business?
I'm happy to jump in here. I think that for us, it's made us more critical. We're suddenly, seeing that there's that acceptance of, okay, let's go ahead and use AI. We have to. The changes are permanent. I don't think that we're going to see a slide back. I think that we've really changed the dynamic, and understanding that direct to consumer through a platform has changed the way video is being marketed. So everyone, sort of did a big grab and said, okay, we're taking The Office back, we're NBC, we're taking it back from Netflix, understanding that all of that content needs to be monetized yourselves. And so that's why I think we see that break, but it makes that data more and more and more important, because you've got to super serve that audience. All of those streaming services are not going to last. Consumers can't afford to have 7 or 8. Now I think they'll settle in at 3 or 5, but at the end of the day, you've got to be able to turn that data into something you can use. It's out there, but for so long on the media creation side and broadcaster, streamers, networks, what have you, not so much the streamers, all of those decisions are made the old-fashioned way, right? Not using as much data. And that's the genesis of our platform is, hey, we've got data, we can't access it. And then it's adding that intense metadata to video, tying it to performance. So I think that more and more and more information will now suddenly start to be used. And I do think that's permanent.
I tend to agree that this change is permanent. The shift in watching patterns that you talked about, Kevin, is definitely permanent, in the sense that if you're going to pay for content, that content needs to be absolutely top notch. And obviously, you can't have too many of those subscriptions. And so, there needs to be a handful, and everyone is trying to figure this out in terms of OTT platforms. They need to have a flagship series or a content that is going to keep, they always need to have a flagship series that keeps people on the platform. And Netflix's focus on fewer but exceptional content, and hence the $17 billion they're planning to spend on content is going to be spent on fewer pieces of content, but really exceptional types of series. And that makes sense because that's what's going to keep people on the platform, not like a whole bunch of mediocre content. And UGC has moved squarely to shorter and shorter content, and hence more and more people are able to create this content. On YouTube, only 2% of all users ever create content. On TikTok, that number is close to 50% in the US, which is mind-boggling, the difference in terms of what short videos does to people and opportunities for more and more people to become creators. And that means that there is more and more talent that's coming out, and AI is going to be increasingly used to discover that talent, because it's almost impossible to find the needle in the haystack with tens of millions of videos being produced per day. There just aren't enough people to watch all of them, and hence AI is going to have to help find the best pieces of content.
So, Vidya, to that point of kind of the TikTok versus YouTube, what you were saying there in 2% versus half the users creating content. Do you believe that, of course, the length of the video is a huge factor? I think I read a study saying that the average human has about 7 seconds of attention span these days before they switch to something else. And obviously very relevant for Zach as he builds out his platform. But the other aspect of that is obviously the virality component, right? Especially if you create a video, it immediately goes viral, you get the immediate serotonin boost, and now you want to create content all the time, and it becomes addictive. How much do you think that plays into the equation of content creation? And also kind of on the film side, you won't obviously get any similar feeling because you're not part of creating that content. So what happens then? Do you foresee naturally people want to be their own creators and watch other creators, or are they much more interested in professional content?
I think it's a mix, and really when YouTube sort of prioritized longer watch times, and the ability to serve ads in those videos motivates people to create those longer videos than shorter videos, and that naturally means that fewer people are going to attempt that. Right. And the shorter videos, it's a mix of virality and the ease of creating that content. First of all, just the creation process is easy and delightful on platforms like TikTok. And I think, that's what Rizzle's striving to do as well. Like, provide that experience where just after you create your own video, you look at that and go, that's a pretty good video. And you feel good about having created that, and you want to do it again and again. And then when that virality hits, it's an additional boost. And that comes about because of this shift from discovery, from search to discovery. YouTube and traditional platforms are a search-driven platform where watching starts with a search, and then you may go down the rabbit hole of the recommendation engine. But you tend to go to YouTube having something in mind. What do you want to watch more often than not? Whereas when you get on an app like TikTok or Rizzle for that matter, you're just saying, delight me with something that you think I should watch. And whatever is presented on the feed, if it is interesting, and this allows creators with no social presence to go viral if they created a good video. And that obviously means that you don't, all of a sudden, you went from, if you were a YouTuber, you had to script your videos, film it in a 4K camera, professionally edit it, maybe add a soundtrack and all of that to make it good. And then after you posted, you had to worry about your SEO, marketing your channel. I mean, you're like a lot of talent comprised in one. But if you're on a short video platform, you're just focused on your creativity. The tools, editing tools and all of that are on the phone. It's super easy to create. You don't have to market yourself. You don't have to have any followers. The algorithm will find your audience for you if you created a great video. It's a big difference.
Since Kevin, you gave me the open opportunity, I was going to say that it's great that great talent can break through and now earn revenue on all of these platforms. However, if you're creating a 1-minute video and then the consumer has to sit through a 30-second ad in order to get to that 1-minute video, that's going to create a big challenge for these platforms. And so we're going to have to, again, think very differently about how we incorporate sponsorships in order to conform to the place where our viewers are.
Totally agree. So Nadir, I mean, Vidya touched on this, and the idea that, you know, you create content, you get immediate feedback, and then you're able to revise and touch up on your future content based on the virality components, right? I mean, TikTok is a great example of that. A creator can immediately see what works and what doesn't. Film is a whole different ball game, right? You spend hundreds of millions of dollars and it could completely flop in the box office, and there's nothing to show except a bunch of sorry investors. You're obviously changing that narrative. Why is that so important, and why do you, you know, also in the industry, why is film as an industry so important given also the changing eyeballs?
I'm not sure who you're addressing that to. I'm sorry.
It was to Nadira. I don't know if she's on mute though. Can you hear us?
I'm happy to take a stab at that if you'd like.
Go for it. Go for it.
You're right that millions and millions of dollars are spent on the creation. And you see that not only in film, but you see that in narrative, or what we call a scripted series. And there's a massive amount of money that goes into it. But if you can look at past performance, past combinations, and you're going through you've got your script, right? It's awesome. You love your writer. It's right there. It's perfect. Now you've got to put together the whole team. Who's doing the lighting, who's doing the sound effect, who's Foley, what music am I going to use? All of those things. If you can do deep analysis on the right combinations of actors, producers, et cetera, and you're looking at that box office return, tying those two things together, and you become a little bit more prescriptive, you're going to save money. And you're going to have a greater audience, you're going to make more revenue. On the scripted side, there's so much that you can do from season to season. We do a lot of work here, understanding what worked in one season or what didn't. And some of that is very actionable, such as, the mood, if the mood got too dark. And I often think about, there are a whole ton of anthology series out there, like an HBO series. And let's say they go for 4 years and season 2, for some reason, tanks. You need to know why. You can't just use gut. What if you look at it and understand that the story was too complex? One of the actors was very disliked by the audience. The mood was very dark and grim, and the audience didn't follow because you put in so many different storylines that it was just useless. If you know that, you make your correction, and then next year you've got a great season. That's what we do. So, and that's what AI brings to the party, not just there, but all across the board. How do you apply AI in a meaningful way as a tool, not as a replacement for that creativity? And I think that Scriptbook does that really well in terms of the script. We take it from there, kind of thing. So it's really pulling it all together comprehensively with new technology that will aid in creation, not replace it.
Still on mute. Can't hear you, Nadia. It's just not your day on the audio. But Paul, I mean, okay, so the theme that we're discussing right now is kind of the death of the theater. Sounds dramatic, but there's also, what is a theater? It's a shared experience. Oftentimes you go with multiple individuals, and that's an opportunity to interact with your loved ones and so forth. Given this and OTT streaming and so forth, I can see why the genesis of your platform came about. But what does that mean for community in the future? How are we going to view and share content? I know that, as a society, we're becoming more and more lonely. There's several studies that show that, and I think the pandemic has further accelerated that. So I'm curious on what your maybe optimistic view of humanity is on this.
I don't want theaters to die, or cinemas,
or restaurants to shut and suddenly we all eat at home, right? I'm even though, you know, that's what our company is about, I think we will have a mix of everything, like it's always been, right? Not everyone goes to the stadium. So it's the statistic in the US that about 2% of the people that follow a sport actually go to the stadium. So it will be, you know, this many people go to the stadium, this many people watch in the pub, or bar, this many people watch at home. So yeah, we've seen some of our clients like T-Mobile using our APIs and SDKs build, you know, co-viewing experiences for concerts, because you go to a concert together with a friend. I don't have the statistic on how many tickets are bought in groups and how many are bought alone. We've had British Telecom, BT Sports, you know, allow people to watch sporting events together, and they've been tweeting things like, "Thank you so much. I haven't been able to see my father in 9 months because of COVID, and he lives far away." And I think as the world becomes more looking at, you know, being sustainable, you know, how many of us are just going to fly over to, you know, I don't know, to see our friend in Detroit just to have a draft party, right? And think about the carbon footprint that will leave. So, you know, we see our clients building sort of draft together experiences. We have another one in the US who's building watch together and wager and bet together. So I think, you know, I will say there will be people who still fly or drive, you know, 1,000 miles to go and meet for a draft party. And I want people to do that. I want someone to go and see their grandfather or grandmother and not just video call them to watch something together. So we've already seen as countries in Europe and the UK start to open up a bit, right? For example, Deliveroo, which is a big, like an Uber Eats over here, has just let go of thousands of bike riders, right? Because people are not ordering as much. And we're going to see a dip in OTT from when we were all locked up to that. But OTT is not going to go back down to zero, because then Disney Plus and Netflix wouldn't exist. So the same with us. We're seeing co-viewing going slightly down to what it was in full lockdown, of course, but it's not going to go down to zero.
Great. And then, you know, as we talked about before a bit, you know, social media is starting to take lead. Right now, film and TV, I believe, is a $34 billion industry, and it's only growing as it kind of morphs with social media. So where do the biggest opportunities lie in this? You know, is it that co-viewing experience? Could that be transitioned to social media? Is it script analysis? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we have success.
Yay!
Years.
Finally, I get something to say. No, I wanted to talk about the biggest opportunities. Well, I think the beauty of technology is that really it's democratizing entertainment, because as Vidya earlier said as well about, you know, the ordinary people are becoming creators themselves. And this is all because of technology. And I think what the biggest opportunities the coming years is really in kind of accelerating content creation by using AI. The reason I'm saying this is because we also have launched Deep Story, which is, you know, the co-creating application engine, and we can see initially, to be honest, I thought having an engine that would allow writers or just ordinary people help them, you know, co-write, co-create is probably something too far off, because maybe they just don't want to co-create with an AI, but that seems to be completely untrue, because I mean, the servers, you know, they can handle the users. We constantly are scaling up. So people want tools that will help them actually kind of elevate, but also accelerate their content creation. So I think we're going to move towards, you know, not just human content, but also we will see the first examples of co-creations between man and AI. I think that will be a big part of content in the coming years.
Right?
I agree. I think there are a lot of opportunities there. I mean, we see people like Stephen Colbert on YouTube, for example, doing the Toon News or whatever, where there are a lot of simulated animated characters that are hosting the talk show when he's on a break, for example. Of course, right now that's still scripted by humans, I believe, and created by graphic designers. But there's a lot of scope there in terms of how you can co-create content with robotic systems. I think there's a huge opportunity there. And at Rizzle, for example, we are dabbling with what are called story templates, which can make people easily insert themselves into, let's say, a Harry Potter scene or a Lord of the Rings scene, things like that, which could make it very interesting for regular people to kind of get a feel for what it's like to play one of the roles in a story like that. So I think we are going to see a huge spectrum of change in terms of how people look at content and what possibilities exist.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say one thing. I didn't get to say this earlier, so I'll just, say it now. Also about, we were talking about streaming, and because of COVID, people have been watching so much content at home. But the end of there is light at the end of the tunnel, with the whole pandemic. And I think we will step into the roaring 20s, as some people say, and we will see also people wanting to go out and have more social contact and wanting to watch content in a different space than their living rooms and their own big TVs. So I have to say, despite the fact that we're all saying that streaming is here to stay and all these different forms of content are here to stay, I do think that it doesn't mean that the whole theater business will collapse. I think we are. All of a sudden, people will want to go to the cinema because we've missed it. We've been watching, on our own telly for the past year. We will go to the cinema, and I think we will see kind of the box office taking up again. Also, I know some of us are from the generation, with the attention span of 2 minutes, but I think we also need to give this generation and younger generation more credit, because we are capable of having long attention spans. And I have to say, and I speak for myself, you can watch short form content, so much short form content, but it's tiring. It's tiring because you start on and then it goes off again after 2 minutes, and then you start again. It's like an engine, you're driving a car and it keeps starting and stopping. So we will need long form content as well, because you don't have catharsis effect with short form content. You get it with long form content because you need to start going through a story, you have the journey and all of that, and it gives you this at the end of long form content. You feel like, that was a good movie, or that was a great show, and I feel like I'm less depressed for some reason. I had a catharsis effect. So so we do have to give them credit. This generation, my generation, the younger generation, and all that, we have longer attention spans than 2 minutes. Not always, but sometimes.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I think everyone's ready for the roaring 20s. COVID has definitely changed a lot of viewing habits, a lot more short-term video, co-watching parties, but I think we're also all longing to go to the movie theater, get that, over butter popcorn and so on, which back in the day, I never realized I missed $9 M&Ms, but it would be really appealing right now. But that was an absolutely great panel. I want to thank everyone so much. We'll have networking, so everyone in the audience, please meet everyone, introduce yourselves. We have some awesome people on the line. So thank you guys again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
So as I mentioned, we have networking coming up. It's going to be great. Everyone be there. I'll pass it off to Kirsten, and she can go into a little bit more housekeeping.
Thank you, Gwyneth. So as Gwyneth mentioned, now that we're wrapping up our film and TV innovation panel, we're going to have another 20-minute break for networking. So what you'll want to do is make your way to our startup booths. You'll do that by clicking on this presentation image on the lower left-hand side of your menu, and you'll see all of the startups from today organized in order from how they presented. If you are a startup or a corporate partner, make sure that you click on your name in the top right corner and toggle your Meet Now into the on position so that our attendees will be able to see that you're available to receive calls. And for our attendees, if you see a green video symbol on someone's booth, that means they're available. Go ahead and click on that and give them a call directly. If you see it gray, that means they're unavailable. They might be on another call, but you can still send them a message over chat. To connect with the rest of the community that's here today or others who have registered for other days, check out the community tab, also available on the left-hand side menu, and you can search through the entire community by keywords like name, title, and company name. So once you do a couple searches through there, you could send people messages, learn a little bit more about them, or seek them out in their booths to have a call with them. Thanks very much and happy networking.
And here we go with the red countdown. Let's see if the gong goes off again. There we go. Pretty cool. I haven't heard that one before. Great. So now we're on to our third section, which is gaming, virtual world, and social. So the first startup we have is Clash. So rather than describe it, I recommend you all go to the App Store, download it, give it a try.
I'm PJ Lion-Gruber, co-founder of Clash. We're a creator platform built to empower mobile video creators through monetization and by bringing them closer to their strongest audiences. A little bit of background on myself and what we're building. I've been working in the creator space for about 6 years. I previously co-founded an influencer marketing agency, NearReach, connecting large brands with creators. And over the years, we've witnessed the space grow and evolve, and it's become apparent that fans are craving more authentic connections with their favorite creators, as evidenced by the emergence of platforms such as Cameo, Patreon, even OnlyFans. So what's next in the future of the creator economy? Creators being able to earn full-time. At Clash, we're providing tools for creators to grow and cultivate their closest audience, their true fans. And we see 3 things as critically important. 1, enabling fans to support their favorite creators through our in-app currency drops. Drops can be given on individual videos or through a recurring monthly model, creating a reliable revenue stream for creators that's not tied to traditional brand sponsorships or merchandise. 2, fans being able to level up to gain recognition and access from their favorite creators. This creates a well-aligned incentive structure that promotes engagement between fans and creators. And 3, through a new experience we're calling huddles, creators will have the opportunity to invite their most engaged fans into an invite-only interior feed on Clash that feels sort of like joining a group chat. It's built for their strongest audience, and it's a great opportunity for creators, brands, and celebrities alike to use huddles to engage and grow their top audiences. So we launched in July of 2020, and last year we closed a large seed round led by Alexis Ohanian at 776, Acme, M13, and Plug and Play, and we acquired the Byte app, Dom Hoffman's sequel to Vine, which had over 5 million users at the time of acquisition. Byte is currently live in the App Store, and we plan to relaunch Byte as Clash in June. We're currently interested in meeting any forward-thinking brands who would love to explore partnering with the next generation of the creator economy. Thanks.
Great. I hope you guys all gave it a download. You can give it a scroll. It's a little addicting, but you know, there are worse things. But up next, we have Momenti. So you can easily create touchable, interactive media, content, and just engage in multiple dimensions.
Hello, I'm Aya Lee, co-founder and CEO of Momenti, a serial entrepreneur from Korea. Starting with e-commerce, pioneered video-based e-commerce in Korea and a digital media company. Through that journey, I came up with Momenti.
I'm Eddie Song, co-founder and COO. My background is in B2B and product strategy from American Express, Samsung, McKinsey, and Johnson & Johnson. Momenti is headquartered in New York City, founded in 2019, and has raised $1.15 million. Our team also consists of former LG alumni, including our head of AI. Momenti is a touchable interactive media and content platform that you engage without any plugins or apps, all natively to your phone's browser. It's a frictionless experience. Demonstrate multiple actions for a product, touch multiple objects, and multiple scenes for storytelling. With activation campaigns, you can brand and engage the audience in playful ways. For fashion e-commerce, you can demonstrate complete outfits, features, details, articulations, and add surprises to delight the user. We have 2 AI engines, one for media creation and interaction, and a motion AI engine that interprets your touch to allow different outcomes on the media leveraging the 5th dimension. Our real-time analytics allows high resolution of data for all interactions on a first-party basis. We have 8 fully issued patents which have passed several IP reviews as fully defensible. 5th dimension allows different outcomes based on interactions, including momentum and physics. For beauty applications, we have real-time AI capture, allowing multi-dimensional beauty product interactions and demonstrations. Currently, Phase 1 is for marketing, e-commerce, content, and interactive NFTs. Phase 2 later this year, the platform opens up to consumers for targeting based on real-time interests and emotional context, allowing first-party data as a service along with APIs. We were featured at Google's AI Summit and were introduced to clients at Facebook, Digitas, and the Martin Agency, delivering several POCs. We're looking for VCs to lead our Series A, and we're looking for business partners in beauty, e-commerce, marketing, content, or interactive NFTs. We invite you to join the content revolution and disrupt the world forever. Thank you.
Wow, that was really cool, spinning that Oreo. I think I'm getting really hungry after the whole movie theater, popcorn, M&Ms talk. But really cool, Momenti. Okay, so up next we have Geer. So we're really excited to see, media and retail get closely intertwined. And with this, Geer is, a great representation of this.
Hi, I'm Christian Thery, co-founder and CEO of Geer. Geer is the first NFT monetization platform for premium brands. We're glad to be working with some of the most recognizable names in the world. Our team is made of seasoned experts and leaders in entertainment, media, and technology. I'm myself a pioneer in blockchain and DLT. Here's one of my recent books. Our mission is to be the #1 enterprise-grade NFT solution for blue-chip brand names. Our initial targets are soccer teams, plus our pre-existing network in fashion, luxury, and automotive. We're a primary marketplace with auction and direct sale, our own secondary marketplace, partnership with auction houses, and we're made for the masses, custodial solutions, so no need to understand blockchain or private keys. And we're energy efficient. One of the things that our brands ask the most is an eco-friendly solution. We're told that we're the McKinsey of NFTs. We have the best technology that suits the enterprise-grade solutions. We have the best people, seasoned management consultants and former serial entrepreneurs. And also, we have the best process. It's very methodical, rigorous. We created an 8-step NFT launch sequence to make sure that we hit all the areas that big enterprises need to hit. Our traction is pretty substantial considering we've been around for a little over a year. Our V1 is live. We have a patent on file, great partnership and accelerator. Thanks, Plug and Play. We raised less than $1 million so far. Here's some case study. We've been doing NFTs for large clothing manufacturer since 2017, as I said, for big sportswear brands, also global soccer clubs. If you're a premium brand, reach out. We can help you. We're raising a $5 million round. We already have a verbal commit from a lead investor. Thank you.
Really cool. Thank you so much for presenting. So up next, we have SportsBuff. So interactive, gamified overlay for live broadcasts. Sounds pretty cool. And I will let Brendan take it from here to tell.
Hey everybody, my name is Brendan Stock and I'm excited to talk to you all about SportBuff. SportBuff was created in 2018 with the goal to change the way that people watch live sports forever. So far, we have raised $2 million in funding and have a team of 16 located throughout the world. We're working with premier partners in sports and esports, engaging their audience with our gamified platform that sits directly over live video. Our platform allows fans to play with and against their friends, and for our partners to engage, retain, and further monetize their audiences. SportBuff powers predictions, quizzes, polls and voting, live stats and fantasy, and transactions such as betting and real-time purchasing live directly on top of the broadcast. SportBuff also introduces a fully new performance-driven ad inventory that our broadcasters can use with their brand partners to integrate directly into the content organically and seamlessly. A great example of SportBuff in action was with the FIBA Champions League between March and April. They used SportBuff over 5 games and had seen tremendous success. Over 36% of their fans engaged with SportBuff and saw over 3 times the watch time compared to previous broadcasts. If you're a broadcaster in sports, esports, or non-sports entertainment, we'd love to chat with you. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Great, thank you so much. And now we have Violet. So, you can add this headless commerce to any of your platforms. I'm talking to you, all of your corporates that are on the line. Pay attention.
Hi, my name is Brandon Schultz, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Violet. Violet is focused on redistributing commerce, and we do that by first working with applications and media companies, which is actually where most people spend a lot of their time. And when in these environments, people are often given a product to look at that they may then want to purchase. But if they want to purchase, they have to click a link and go back to an individual website where they can actually buy the thing they were looking at. We take what exists on those individual e-commerce websites and we move all of that out to the edge to facilitate a transaction natively inside of experiences. We believe that e-commerce is becoming a layer that is getting baked into every internet connected experience. We help enable this via a universal commerce infrastructure. So we provide tools that enables channels and applications to connect directly to the merchants that have products that they want to sell. We do that through a unified commerce API, one single API and one single integration that provides full access to all of the e-commerce platforms where these products exist. This gives coverage across products, checkout, orders, and update. As an example, we work with Instagram Checkout today, and we support, product detail pages. We support their cart, their checkout, and then when an order has been completed on Instagram, it gets sent back to Violet. Violet then processes that in the system where it came from, as if it were an order that came in through the website. But this isn't just for Instagram. If you're a channel of any kind, right, a media company or a tech-driven business that has an audience, and you're looking to add a commerce layer to your infrastructure, we can help you do that, and we can take that effort from a multi-year effort down to, a multi-week effort, and we'd love to have that conversation. Additionally, if you're a merchant and you're looking to diversify your channel strategy and decrease your customer acquisition costs, we'd love to have a conversation about some matchmaking and see which potential applications inside of our portfolio might make sense for you. But we are on this broader mission to bring channels and applications and merchants closer together to help facilitate commerce that in a way that's redistributed to a bunch of different interfaces in a bunch of different ways. We're Violet. Look forward to talking to you. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. And now we're moving on to our gaming, virtual world, and social panel. So all of the presentations you just saw, we have the CEOs, founders, employees on the line, and we can dig into them and learn more. So up first, I will introduce Kevin, the moderator. He's done a couple intros so far if you've been with us, but doesn't get old. We can do it again.
Co-moderator along with you, Gwyneth, but good to see everyone, some familiar faces. I'm Kevin. I'm a principal here at Plug and Play, heading up our commerce, media, and consumer investments, and great to be joined by such amazing panelists.
Great, so let's welcome the panelists. Turn your videos on, enter the virtual stage, and let's have some fun with this conversation. Perfect. So let's do a quick round of intros. Brendan is to my right, so he can start off.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. I'm Brendan from SportBuff, and I'm dialing in from Northern California.
And Eddie?
I'm Eddie Song, co-founder and COO of Momenti, based out of New York City.
Christian? Okay.
I'm Christian Ferry, co-founder and CEO of Geer. We're based out of Palo Alto, California, but I'm dialing in from Milan, Italy, here for work. So hello, everyone.
PJ?
Hi, PJ Liongruber, co-founder and executive vice president of Clash, and I'm talking to you today from Culver City, California.
And Brandon? Oh, Brandon, I'm not sure if your mic is working right now.
Yep, Siri interfered with my audio. She tried to hop in and ask me a question right as I was going to say my name. So hello, everyone. Brandon Schultz, co-founder and CEO of Violet, calling in from Seattle.
Wonderful. So, you know, as everyone just watched the presentations, we have a lot of different companies, you know, entering the virtual world in different ways. I think COVID has definitely accelerated. This is a common theme of the day, the virtual world. And a lot of these trends are here to stay. We're getting used to them. You know, now my grandma is actually scanning QR codes. Anything is possible. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. How have the past, you know, year or so been for you guys? Where are you headed? What are you excited about? I can start off with PJ. You can take it.
Great. So a lot of things are really exciting. You know, one thing I think that we're really looking at is the disruption that Uber and DoorDash and Lyft caused a couple of years ago was this creation of the gig economy. So people that, you know, people can now pick up their phone, work multiple jobs, basically earn a living on their own. And the next wave that we're really looking at and excited about is what we call the creator economy, which is people be able to pick up their phone and create content and make that a living. So if you look at, like, you know, Netflix and traditional streaming platforms, you know, we see their biggest competitors being, you know, TikTok and Instagram and social media. You know, people are spending just as much content, just as much time consuming content on social channels and on Twitch and on YouTube as they are watching, you know, traditional television, you know, and streaming platforms. So what does this sort of mean going forward? Well, if you ask any like Gen Z or a kid in high school or middle school, you know, a lot of them aspire to be full-time content creators. But it's fundamentally very, very difficult. The system is set up to where the top content creators have no problem earning, but the remaining 98% sort of struggle to monetize. So as more and more content creators get minted on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, we're really thinking about how are these creators going to eventually earn you know, full-time living, and, you know, is this something that is sustainable moving forward? We definitely think it is, and that's sort of the problems that we're tackling at Clash, and that's, you know, something I'm really excited about, is to witness the growth and development of the creator economy.
Yeah, and with that monetization of the content creators, what does that look like for the brands then?
So for brands, you know, we look at traditional brands, you know, sponsorship, which is brand to creator to fan. So the brand pays the creator then, you know, partners with the brand and blasts their message out to their audience. And that's traditionally how the sponsored post sort of ecosystem works. That's actually how a lot of creators currently monetize. We're thinking about it a little bit differently, and we're looking at it as brand to fan and then creator. So at Clash, we're rolling out a program that we call Drops, which enables fans to support their favorite creators through like tipping on videos or through a monthly subscription. So we see brands getting involved in this ecosystem where brands come on, they sponsor the platform, and then they actually fuel the fans and giving the fans a little bit of money to then go give to their favorite creator that sort of represents the ethos of that brand. So we're going from brand to creator, a brand to fan, and then fan passing revenue back to creator.
Awesome. And then this question is geared towards Christian. So what does monetization look like in the gaming space now?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, mainly monetization is done by game publishers and game studios by selling skins. What's interesting is that most of the skins are non-branded. You find collabs. You might have heard Nike into Fortnite or Louis Vuitton with League of Legends. They tend to be like very expensive, time-consuming, about 20 months long to actually get a deal done. And they're not really, I would say, revenue producing. So they're more of a marketing blitz that both the game side and the brands are using. And that kind of, you know, it's counterintuitive, but it's not really like, you know, revenue generating for both sides. And the angle that we're taking with Geer and NFT Pro is switching from a licensing or sponsorship model to a digital authentic product distribution model. So think about physical product distribution, the same thing that Jeff Bezos did with Amazon.
we're doing that with digital authentic products using NFTs. And what that does is creates a unique ID, a unique product that it's owned by the player, and the player can use and resell in secondary market. In our secondary market, it's branded, it's authentic. You know, it's from Ferrari, from Lambo, from Nike, Adidas, whatever. And in the future, as we talk about 5 to 10 years down the road, when we have the connections of the metaverses, you'll be able to take your assets in and out environments. And so that's the future that we're looking ahead at. Today is bringing these brands into video games as digital authentic products. Games love it, right? They're spending so much money, $138 billion a year for non-branded skins. They love to have to spend the same amount of money for branded skins, right? So they can show off with their friends. And they can also monetize, right? From a speculatory standpoint, a secondary market, which is a win-win. Games and brands revenue share on it. So there's no minimum guarantees, there's no royalty fees, it's all transparent with analytics behind it. And we're using the same technology to issue collectibles, NFT collectibles, actually much easier than bringing it into video games. So a lot of the brands we work with say, hey, we love video games, we also love collectibles. So we're becoming that hub for digital product distribution. Effectively, that's why we say we are, becoming the Amazon of the digital world.
We also have a wide range of people on the line right now. You mentioned NFTs. So what exactly are NFTs? Do you guys think, this is a question to all of the panelists, what's the hype around NFTs? Is it justified? Do you think it's going anywhere?
Absolutely, good questions. How much time do we have? Joking aside, so I'll try to make it quick. I've been playing around with NFTs myself since 2013 with a fork from Bitcoin, way before Dapper Labs came out and it was popular to have CryptoKitties. I think instead of saying what is an NFT, I think the better questions or an analog question would be why NFT? Why do you have this hype? And it's very simple. We have to go back to the 1960s when the Department of Defense created this thing called the internet. The internet was created and meant to be a tool for communication. I'm in Russia, you're in China, we can talk via data. In the 1990s, somebody decided to let people add their credit card into a window so they could buy adult content. That's how e-commerce started, with porn, with adult content. But that doesn't change the DNA of the internet. The internet does not become an e-commerce tool the moment that you allow somebody to type their credit information. It's still a communication tool, okay? So you cannot have digital distribution on the internet because everything that you put on the internet, audio, file, digital media, the value goes to zero because you can copy it ad infinitum, right? And NFTs change that, add a layer to the internet where you can actually have authenticity, digital scarcity, which means cap the supply. You can track this thing and they're truly owned, meaning you actually truly own this asset. You can monetize either by reselling it or by licensing. So the reason why NFTs are so important is because they enable the same dynamics of a physical commerce onto the digital space. And we don't realize the importance of these assets yet. We're playing around with memes and with cats and dogs, but this is going to be the future of commerce. The next Amazon is going to be enabled by NFTs.
Have NFTs affected anybody else's business online?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about NFTs right now, you think about just, again, little 3D renderings of crazy artists that you buy for $69 million and stuff like that. But anything that requires digital identity with a cap supply, and that could be one of one, might use the NFT. We've been researching and pioneering enterprise use cases around NFT. Think about inventory, computer licenses, receivable. Think about partner identities, employee identities. Think about debts. Think about assets, government use cases. Think about taxes, voting. So there's an infinite amount of use cases for NFT. Again, we're just scraping the surface right now, right? And a lot of companies that we work with are being positively affected. Obviously, is digital. The variable cost of selling an NFT is close to zero. When we met with the top exotic car manufacturer in Italy, I'm not going to name it, but you guys already know, and we showed, hey, you can actually make the same amount of revenue by selling NFTs instead of cars, they look at us and say, why in the world do we actually sell physical car when we actually have employees, inventories, taxes, this and that? When we sell NFTs, it's 99% profit. So they're changing the way that we think about business models inside these companies. And my thinking for the future is that in 5-10 years, you're going to have designers inside these companies that will design digital products for either collectible or for in-game use, VR, AR, and metaverses.
So it makes sense. And Eddie, I see that you unmuted, so go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, we've actually seen the uptake in NFTs on our side. So we're actually talking with a national restaurant chain that wants to utilize the Momenti technology, which allows that interactivity to create a fully interactive digital item and then be able to sell those as digital NFT items across, globally. And so the ability to go beyond, just an object or a picture or a link or even physical objects to digital aspects and artifacts that are manipulable, touchable, and utilizable, we are able to create that experience for them to go beyond, just a picture in the digital world.
So several of you are touching, NFTs is an example, I think, the intersection of commerce and media, and obviously calling NFTs commerce is like an under description, if you will. But Brandon, you led with that, right? You said that this is where eyeballs are going, and this is where I'm going to create my platform. Why was that so important to you? And PJ, kind of similar question of finding the intersection there and creating a company around that.
Yeah, well, for us, it's about market size. If you look at, excuse me, global digital advertising spend, that market's about $600 billion, which is obviously a very big market. But e-commerce is growing at about 15% year over year, especially a lot more in this last year. And it's now around a $4 trillion market. So just in the last 12 months, the total growth in e-commerce is more than the entirety of the advertising spend on the internet. So when you look at those kinds of numbers, recognize that it's totally outsized. A lot of these companies are saying to themselves, well, hang on a second, how do I get a piece of that pie? Like Amazon obviously has a small portion of it. Globally, they're like 7%. In the US, they're like 45%. But in large part, a lot of other companies should be able to participate in that $5 trillion industry beyond, fractions of points, et cetera. So as we saw that, we recognized that there were places where people were spending time and that these platforms and the advertising around them were informing the decisions. And so in large part, there's the whole customer acquisition cost. You have to pay 35 cents on the dollar to then gain access to the eyeballs. The eyeballs then translate into a purchase. Why don't we actually just shorten that whole funnel and bring everything together and make the internet a big shopping mall? Let it do what it was meant to do in the early days. And yes, there was content in the early days. There's also a good point about when it switched into being around purchasing. But in large part, the way we buy things on the internet hasn't changed since 1999. You still go to this standalone website, you still fill out a form with some random company you don't really know. You've got 1,000 emails of updates from all these companies, and it's pretty difficult to use. So we wanted to go in and sort of redistribute or help with the proliferation of the way in which other entities and other companies should be able to operate as a retailer, or operate, and I hate to say it, compete with Amazon, which I think is sort of the underlying theme of this whole panel, right? It's the way in which the internet is helping to democratize or sort of redistribute things. And that's been the model in the path, right? It's always been really large companies that have a technological advantage and they've sort of siloed certain features. And then over time, another company comes along and says, we're going to do that one part, and we're going to give it to everyone else. And now instead of just like Yahoo centralizing all of the media coming from large publications, we're going to turn every person in their living room into a media entity and let them create their own blogs. Now they have their own live streaming shows. We've totally redistributed what delivery looks like with the first comment around Uber, right? These things used to exist in these larger structures, and now we're just letting every individual do that. And to some degree, NFT is a similar thing. It's sort of redistributing ownership and what that looks like. So that's where we get really excited, how to think about this larger trajectory of retail moving into e-commerce and it not being separate from the advertising ecosystem, but making it core to monetization opportunities for people across the board.
So for us, there's a couple things I think that are important. The creator economy itself is booming. We estimate a total market size of around 105 billion. But what's more exciting is it's on par with the growth trajectory of the gig economy, which is currently, net present value, trillions of dollars. More practically speaking, $800 million of venture capital has flown into the creator economy since October of 2020. So, it's a relative, I think the world is starting to catch on that this is a big space. But I think the bigger problem here is, 55% of creators who have been building an audience for 4 years or longer are still earning less than $20,000 a year annually across all of their social channels. So there's just a big fundamental gap that we see. And I've been working in the influencer marketing creator economy space for 7+ years now. So I've really gotten to see the space sort of change and condense and to really see where it's coming to today. And it just seems like a natural evolution. And it feels like the explosion of the creator economy is upon us. And this is evidenced with things like, creators, generating and selling NFTs. That's all very, very much part of it. It's not necessarily what we're building at Clash, but it's obviously something we're hugely in favor of and very bullish on in general.
So PJ, to that point, I know that Eddie and Brendan also focused on this, which is, you're obviously unlocking an economy or creating a monetization path for creators, but you've also created a series of tools around interactivity where users can interact with creators in unique ways. Why was that set of features so important to you as you're developing Clash? And then a similar question for Eddie and Brendan, the piece on interactivity.
Sure. So I'll take the first one. So, creators tend to focus on their number of followers. So the goal is, let me build a large following. How do I get to 1 million on TikTok? Or how do I get to 500K on Instagram? There's all of these benchmarks that creators set. I find that to be very impersonal. So we really want to shift the metric discussion to how many true fans do I have? You might have 1 million followers on TikTok, which is great, but you might have 200 fans that will actually follow you on every single channel and support you financially. So we really want to look at the distinction between a follower and a true fan, and how do we create a better experience for that true fan? How do we let them actually engage with the creator, chat with the creator, and how do we help the creator identify who those true fans are? And those true fans would be the ones that would actually financially support them. So how do we help the creator identify and grow that true fan audience from 200 to 500 to 1,000? That's really what we're fundamentally focused on building with the future version of our product, is giving the creators those tools to identify and nurture and grow those relationships.
And so, like, if you think about the digital world and interactivity, when you're born, you can't see, you can't smell, but your first instinct is touch. The first instinct of a baby in the mother's arms is to grab the mother, right? And so our introduction into the world being immersive is all based on touch. And in the digital world, it's always been fairly passive, whether it be a movie, a picture, there's no interactivity. And for a long time, my co-founder, who developed the core technology for Momenti, said that the interactivity is that bridge that needs to be done. And then COVID hit, and which was perfect timing, because at that point, physical became a challenge. And Momenti was able to be that bridge between the digital and physical world, especially in terms of e-commerce, branding, and whatnot, because what delights people in the physical world when they go into a store is the touch and that discovery process. And to be denied that in the store, is a huge challenge. But for us, since we can deploy this, and now that the COVID world brought screen times on the cell phone to skyrocketing levels, we can deploy this to the mass market without web plugins or apps or anything like that. So it's a frictionless experience, and bring that delight of discovery to all users. And because of that, that's where the interactivity really changes the whole dynamic. It's more interactive, it's accessible to everyone. And at that point, it just changes the world and the use cases, from everything from e-commerce, advertising, marketing, to content as well, where content itself can be interactive as well.
Yeah, and going off of what Eddie said around, especially digital being a traditionally passive experience, you see that with sports for, since really linear TV has existed, it's been one of the most passive experiences for fans, and they've been very successful. Traditional sports, if you look at the NFL, NBA, they're massive revenue generators. You do see some of their ratings have gone down over the years with especially younger generations, but there hasn't been a great need to change. And then with COVID coming, that I think really lit a fire under a lot of these leagues and broadcasters. And at SportBuff, what we're looking is to bring a platform that different broadcasters, leagues, and content creators can use to power real-time engagement, to power interactivity, so that fans can do more than just watch. And, you see it with younger generations, but really we see it with all generations. I look at my dad, we'll be watching games and we'll both have our phone, maybe even an iPad in front of us with the screen on. And there's so much, distraction happening. But I don't necessarily think it's because fans want all these things on different devices. It's just that they're not in one spot. And so part of what we're doing is trying to bring everything back onto the core content, because when you see it, in places like Twitch, or increasingly creators are, very interactive, and you see it being done successful there. And so we're trying to help different broadcasters, bring that experience to more traditional types of entertainment.
So Brendan, you obviously focus heavily on the community aspect as well, and making sure that there is a community around certain types of content, and users can engage with one another. Why was that also an important aspect to your platform? And same thing with PJ.
Yeah, so with SportBuff and our platform is we see, again, with passive media, there's been a difficulty for fans go to Twitter, they go outside of these channels that are owned by the actual content creators to interact and to engage. And there's all this love and passion for these communities, and yet they're not being captured by the actual kind of community creators. And so with our platform, we're able to connect these people socially, with engagement and interactivity and entertainment, in real time with each other directly on the screen in a first screen experience as well. And that's, a really important part for us is we're building something that is first screen. And, I think, again, when you look at Twitch, you see all these different types of communities, whether it's with the chat, whether it's with the streamers themselves or groups of streamers, it's changing, right? Where you have maybe icons in social media that kind of drive the narrative around entertainment. You might have different Fortnite streamers they're setting trends now. And then you see with traditional sports actually, trying to build these communities on places like Twitch. We've worked with traditional sports clubs that are broadcasting on Twitch, working with, top influencers, because those influencers have a different kind of way to tap into the community. And then with our platform, we're bringing that next level of innovation and interactivity to kind of just drive everything further and in a much more, immersive way.
For us, we look at some complementary platforms. Like if you're a writer, right, you start a Substack. If you're a traditional YouTube creator, probably makes sense to start a Patreon. But if you're, a TikToker, Instagram, or short form video creator, there's no equivalent for that. And monetization is generally very, very fragmented, right? So creators need to get creative to monetize. That might be doing merchandising deals, that might be doing a number of brand deals, which I think they can only do so many of. Might be, doing pay-per-view boxing matches, right? There's a whole number of things that creators can do, but it's very disjointed. So we're really looking at, how can we simplify this whole experience for the creator. Another thing that's, I think, also important to us is, I touched on before, is the importance of engagement, right? And I think that also extends outside of just the world of creators and into brands and media as well. For Nike, if they're going to put out a shoe release, right? Like how, when there's a shoe drop coming out, it's important to create community around the people that are all rallying around getting the shoe. Or if you're Fox and you're the Masked Singer, where are the fans going to go to discuss who's behind the mask during the week in between episodes. So we fundamentally look at how can if you're a super fan of something, content creator, of course, but if you're a super fan of a television show, if you're a super fan of a brand, how can we create that same sort of insiders club and that same ethos. How does a brand cultivate their true fans? How does a television show cultivate their true fans? All these things are possible through newsletters or through Twitter or through all these existing tools and platforms, but it just feels like a real opportunity to galvanize that we're looking forward to innovating on.
And do you think these online communities are here to stay post-COVID as people are going out, to the real world, shopping in malls? Will they still be shopping via Instagram, so on?
Yeah, I think as long as there's smartphones and social media, I don't see that changing. I think, I would hope people, put their phone down and take a break and get out in the real world a little bit. Yeah, I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. So we really should, focus on, creating a community and making that feel special and less isolated, especially if you're a fan of a creator. If you probably love to be friends with the fans that are also the other fans, super fans of that creator, there's probably a lot of commonalities there. So definitely those are things we're thinking about.
Yeah. And I'd love to hear how, Momenti and Sportsbuff are dealing with this creator economy as well.
I guess for Momenti, we, as we said in our pitch, we're actually opening up our platform at the end of this year to the creator community so that the influencers can then utilize our technology to create their own content. And this gives a way for those fans and their user bases, as well as brands that follow these super creators, to really engage with their audience at a much deeper level. Because not only that, if you saw in our videos, you can actually create media that's actually fully dynamic and reacts to the way that you touch. And so if you touch in a positive way or a negative way, the media actually pivots and reacts based on that. And so with that, you can get close to your favorite pop stars. You can get closer with your favorite athletes. You can do activation campaigns for your latest drama and pick your favorite character and really play against them and work with them to create these really deep engagements for those super fans who are really hyper consumers of that content. And to be able to add that, you're building that emotional connection with those users across the board, and enabling the creative community to utilize those tools is going to push the bar higher and higher of what that creative output could do, and at the same time show the world how the technology can be used to even greater levels that no one had ever conceived before.
Yeah, and going off a bit of what Eddie said about allowing creators to connect with their communities and to go deeper with what we're doing is we're giving creators a tool that they can use to push this gamification experience, but then bring brands and commercial partners as well into the content, into their content, but in a much more integrated way. You see, I always joke, if you look when you're watching different live streams and that have like a chat bar and you see a kind of more traditional B-roll advertisement come through, you can see that chat reacts, they kind of just turn off. But when it's an activation, something that's really integrated within the content, it actually can become part of the show. It can be seen as a boost to both the creator, like, wow, that guy's really awesome. He's working with Ferrari or he's associated with this cool brand. And at the very least, it brings the brand into the content in a way that's much more integrated. And that's, a lot of what we're doing is saying, hey, you can create this interactive, engaging, really fun, over-the-top experience. And then you can also bring your partners into it in a way that really seamlessly and organically brings them into the content.
Yeah, I think I just want to add to that, Brandon. A lot of the brands that we're working with, they're like historical brands, European brands across fashion, automotive, luxury, even soccer clubs. And they realize that they forgot their future customers, right? Very much like happened to Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson was basically catering to baby boomers. When baby boomers started kind of aching, 70, 75, nobody was riding their motorcycles, right? So they forgot, to nurture their future business. So Brandon is absolutely right. I mean, these brands are like, how do we engage the younger generation, the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha, the millennials in the mediums and the vehicles they're using today? And that's, this concept of digital and they're trying to figure out how to kind of have these engaging conversations. And I think, I don't think we have an equation, right? There's no this thing works, this thing does. Everybody's trying to figure it out because it's so new. I like what Gwyneth said at the beginning is COVID is going to continue this trend. I think COVID gave us kind of almost like a mental shift, right? A cultural shift that it's okay to work from home, that it's okay to spend time playing video games, that it's okay spending time in the digital world. And I think that's more than anything is what we need to kind of power these digital revolutions, right? Who's going to be the winner? We don't know. There's definitely a clear will from people to spend time in the digital world and at the same time to connect as if they were in person. And I think that we're millions of miles away from that, right? Right now, I'm talking to a piece of glass. Think about it. You're looking at your computer, it's a piece of glass. It's not engagement, right? I'm not engaged right now, right? But that's the only vehicle that we have. So we're miles away from that. And I think there's going to be an exciting race that we're going to, have. And brands want to be part of that conversation and they don't know how. So it's the land of opportunity indeed.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the numbers financially, consumer spending has the highest it's been in the last 18 months. And Google's earnings report just a month ago, they beat earnings by over 60% because of the digital spend just skyrocketed. And so we know that the digital area has not only just changed, but people and companies have adapted to that. And they're trying to engage the digital world that pretty much used to be for the younger generation. But as the result of COVID, it forced all that behavior to shift to the higher demographics. And so now you have a very captive bell curve of the entire population that's now fully digital, fully on mobile, and we can capitalize on that. And that's how these interactions do happen.
Yeah, I'd probably maybe just add one more thing, and I'm sure everyone here knows this, but even the e-commerce adoption in the last year, they're saying that we saw 10 years worth of adoption in 1 year. So things that we thought were going to take a really long time all sort of happened all at once, which means that people are more comfortable with different types of purchasing. And ultimately, if we're having the creator economy conversation, you have to have the e-commerce discussion around that. Everyone's trying to figure out what attribution looks like, right? It's one thing to go give a partnership and dollars to a creator and say, here's $10,000, help out the business on the brand side. But it's very different if that $10,000 can be tracked to direct purchases inside of an ecosystem so that $10,000 generates $250,000 of return. If you look at China and their live streaming apps, there are influencers over there who are selling out through $2 million worth of SKUs in less than 10 minutes. So that's where we're moving is a totally different type of purchasing experience. For the prior generations, it was QVC on one channel, and there were these two people that they picked, and those were effectively old school creators, right? And they were showing a product and talking about something. And now we have this whole new version of a creator that can do anything. They can do video, they can do text, whatever it is, and they'll talk about products, and they'll probably get money from a branding perspective, but they will absolutely become core to the retail and e-commerce part of the experience. Even if you look at Revolve and the way that they've used influencers as a part of their sort of sales force to some degree, it's all kind of just getting started. And I think there's a lot of overlap here in the panel.
I love the QVC reference. It makes me feel young.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I think we're just about done on time, but that was a great conversation. And I think ending with the QVC reference, making Christian feel young, is a great way to end it as well. So we'll have networking later for everyone in the audience, so you can meet and greet and ask personal questions. I guess not personal, but startup questions, and I suppose personal questions later in networking. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Awesome. So now we are going to head into the corporate award. So I'll let Mehrad take it from here.
All right, great. Welcome. This is Will Decker again. So excited to have you back. And this is one of my favorite parts of our expo here today. It's when we recognized a corporate partner with the Corporate Partner Award for Media and Advertising Batch 3. This award usually is chosen to recognize a partner who's been very engaged, who's worked with our startups in our program. And I don't think it's very much of a surprise to any of us or our team that the award for this year goes to Mars and their agency MediaCom. And to accept the award, I would love to welcome Gary, who is the global head of Launchpad at Mars, and Danny, who is the Launchpad lead at MediaCom. So both of you, congratulations. Thank you so much. And I'd love it if you had the chance to say just a few words.
Go for it, Gary.
Amazing. I love it. Who doesn't like receiving awards? So thank you, Will. Thank you to the whole Plug and Play team. We've been a partner at Plug and Play for 5 years, and it's been a very rewarding partnership. I think we've done a lot of amazing stuff together, and due to your guys' help, both with the startups and some other partners within the cohort, and it's been a really rewarding journey for us as part of the brand and retail. And I think in the last year or two, us leaning into the media and advertising cohort has been fantastic as well. I think the quality of the startups, the quality of the thinking has been really helpful for a business like ours, which is, I think today we're the 7th or 8th largest advertiser in the world. So this chapter is highly relevant for us, and the class and the cohort of the quality of the startups has been really good. We look forward to getting into some meaningful partnerships with them, and I think kudos to the Plug and Play team for continuing to push the boundaries, hear feedback from their partners, putting relevant programs. So really, I think it's a shared award in my eyes, and then having our agency partner, the MediaCom, we're at the leading edge of media and all things media. Just a further validation, we can create the right ecosystem of the right technology companies, the right CPGs, the right media agencies. We could do a lot of magic together. So I look forward to turning this award into many more meaningful pilots and hopefully scale ups with these with the class of these startups. So thanks, Will.
Yeah, to echo everything Gary said, it's been a brilliant introduction to the cohort of startups. There's been some amazing talent that we've been introduced to, some really inspirational companies that are doing some amazing things. So from MediaCom, working in partnership with Mars on the Launchpad Innovation Program over the last few years, it's been fantastic to be part of the Plug and Play family, and we're looking forward to where some of these conversations go and where some of these relationships go. So thank you for the award.
Amazing. Well, again, thank you and congratulations from the entire Plug and Play team and the whole startup community here. And that's it. That is the corporate award. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that just concludes our Spring Summit for week 1, and Media and Advertising Batch 3 Expo is in the books. Just what an incredible day. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Plug and Play and getting involved, reach out to myself, reach out to the team, Murad, everyone else who did a phenomenal job today. And don't forget, next week is week 2 of our Spring Summit, starting back up on Tuesday. If you're here and you want to still network, you can meet now, you can reach out and chat. Use this time to take what you've done as far as attending and being inspired by all the incredible pitches and content and presentations to continue those connections. We don't want today to just stay as an excellent event on its own. We want those connections you make to carry forward into what you do, so you can be a part of transforming the media and advertising industry together with Plug and Play and our entire partner base. So that's it. Thank you again, team. Thank you, ops team. Thank you to our program managers, our ventures, everybody here today. Thank you to the startups and our partners. And that is a wrap.